Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next 3. 9:30, you'll hear from Ryan Day on the spring game that was. Austin Ward with his perspective at 10:30. As is customary, we will blitz the weekend at 11 o'clock. And at 11:30, Tyvis Powell from the sidelines of the spring game to his thoughts on what he saw with the front row seat. Look, 99.99999% of the time, the Monday after the spring game, that's where we're leading. We got a quarterback competition. We got a young kid who was nothing short of brilliant with his opportunities, and we'll get to all of that. But you have to lead with what, for me, was one of the most riveted I have ever been by a sporting event. My connection to Rory McIlroy is that covering the Memorial Tournament for all of those years, especially when I was at Channel 10 and we were doing the nightly shows from 2007 to 2015, you just got to see these guys a lot and you got to talk to them a lot. And so my connection is fleeting. It's nothing more than watching someone and being in awe of their talent and them being a relatively good dude. And I remember interviewing him one of the first times he was at the Memorial Tournament, and you'd heard about him, right? He was one of those guys you heard about, that he was on the come, and you get a chance to talk to him, and was an incredibly personable, just a good dude. Came across as a really good dude. In those days at the Memorial, they would have them do the interviews underneath a tree, and then they would have to sign autographs. And Rory was one of the guys who would come and do the interviews underneath the tree. It was before they took him inside and have it the way they do now. He was one of those guys who was always available underneath the tree, and would oftentimes sign a bunch of autographs while he was there in the early years of him coming to Muirfield Village. And because of Muirfield Village, we have that ability to touch these guys. It's one of the great gifts that the Memorial Tournament gives us. And so I've rooted for him for a long time. And even when AAR and I were doing the show, anytime we would pick majors, I would pick Rory. It was kind of a bit. Like I would pick Rory to win a major every single time that he was in one. And I think he's been probably, I don't know that he's ever been not one of the 3 biggest stars in the sport since he burst on the scene. He's always been in the mix as one of them because everybody sees the talent. But with that talent and winning early as he did comes an absurd amount of pressure that's hard to really wrap your head around, I think. And I think if you watched yesterday, and my guess is a great many of you did, and my hunch is that the numbers for this will be astronomical because it had everything. It had a leaderboard that you'd want. It had Rory. It had Bryson DeChambeau. It had guys chasing. It had a perfect day at Augusta National. And it had a back nine, the likes of which I've never seen. I don't care if you are a golf fan or not. The sheer drama that came with every single swing was unlike anything you've ever seen. And his ability to win that tournament and lose it about 15 times in the last 7 or 8 holes, whether you had connective tissue with him, fleeting as it may be, or not, if he's somebody that you've watched walk down a fairway at the Memorial, or if you've never seen golf in your life, you empathized with what he was going through. This is a guy who was identified to be great, and he was trying to track it down. He was trying to become just the second player since 1966 to win a career Grand Slam, and he's been trying to do it for 11 years. And we just saw him last year at the U.S. Open in the final pairing and missing putts. So he gets to 13, and he plays it conservatively. He finishes 12, and he's got a 3-shot lead, and he goes back, and Jim Nantz says on the broadcast, this will be his last sanctuary until he's in Butler Cabin. That from here on out, every shot he hits is going to be surrounded by people and nerves and energy. But he goes to 13. They move that tee back. It's way back. There's no one around you. And he's sitting there on the tee at 13, hitting a 3-wood, and you go, okay, 3-shot lead, easy 3-wood, easy second, layup, chip it within 10 feet, make birdie, and we'll see on down the road. Let's start getting fitted for that green jacket. And he does the first 2 parts perfectly. Hits a perfect 3-wood, hits a perfect second, and then hits a chip. And I was talking to buddies of mine who are great golfers, and I said, what is this like? Him blocking that chip shot 25 yards right of where he was trying to land it. And they said it would kind of be like missing a slam dunk in the fourth quarter of an NBA Finals game for like LeBron, like a breakaway. Like they would always put that. They would always find grass. It's impossible that you would hit it in the water. Absolutely impossible. And he did. And then he made double. And then he made bogey. And then the lead was gone. And then from there, some of the most absurd iron shots you've ever seen in your life. The one on 15 is nuts. But does he make the eagle putt? No, he does not. And it's like 6 feet. And he doesn't make it. The one on 17 to make birdie, where he's within, I was watching with him, obviously we're all riveted. I said, I think he's got to be within 2 feet, honestly. At this point, he's got to be within 2 feet or he's going to miss the putt. Then he goes to 18 with a 1-shot lead. He hits his second into the sand and then puts it to about 5 feet and misses. And you just go, my God, is this ever going to happen for this guy? Is he just mentally just fried and broken? And who wouldn't be? Anybody out there who has played a sport, or God, if you have or haven't, it doesn't matter. You've done something with all sorts of pressure on it, and sometimes you come up short. These guys aren't supposed to. They're supposed to be impervious to that. But it got him, and he spoke about that afterwards. And then to regather and go to the playoff and hit an all-time second on 18 playing with Justin Rose to the point where there was no way he was missing that. It was 4 feet. And then to just see the emotion pour out of him. Just heaving, weeping, yelling, screaming, all of the things that go with it. Damn, sports is great. It's great. And the job that Jim Nantz did on the call, guys, he laid out. Jim Nantz didn't say anything for 7 minutes. 7 minutes. He just let Rory shake hands and hug people, and you could hear the emotion of the crowd. I had buddies of mine who were down there, said the whole place was rooting for him. That's what it felt like, that the whole place was. And I don't know that it was that they were – I think they just root for good golf at the Masters. It's not like they pull one way or another. I think they just root for good golf. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't. It's as good and as riveted as I've been to a sporting event that I am not, that one of my kids is not participating in, that one of my teams is not participating in, as I've ever been. It was stunning. It lived up to all of it, and it was a roller coaster, the likes of which you just have never seen anything like it, guys, ever.
Yeah, riveted's the appropriate word. I don't know if I've ever been as connected or as locked into a golf tournament as I was the final round. Like when Rory double bogeys 13, I kind of rage quit on him, and I was like, all right, just let Justin Rose win this thing. Like he had never going to do it. And I even thought, like, on the broadcast, Trevor Immelman did a really good job. Like that was a pretty good tandem all weekend. But the walk that Rory makes after winning the playoff from, 10 up to Butler Cabin was really cool, and an incredible job by CBS to kind of just show all of the emotion and everything that not only that moment meant for Rory, but for his family, for his friends, and for golf in general. Like that weekend, that leaderboard, everybody thought that Rory was going to fall on Sunday. It turned out to be Bryson DeChambeau, but you had those kind of big names that the sport's been missing on a Sunday at the top of the leaderboard for what it feels like since the inception of Live Golf. And it was a great moment for the sport yesterday in Augusta.
It was fun to watch, for sure. And, Bo, I am not a Rory guy. I never have been. It baffled it baffled me. And here's why. Because the dude has all the talent in the world, and I feel like he's underachieved. And people have always told me he was the next great thing, and he always kept coming up short in what were the majors. He had won 4 majors in the span of 2 years, and then we've gone 11 years of seeing this. So that's why I was amazed at these commentators the other day when they're like, oh, my gosh, this is unbelievable. No, actually, this is pretty predictable. because I've seen 11 years of this from Rory doing this. But he did get the win, and he cements his legacy as one of the greatest in the game because he has a career Grand Slam now. And there's only
six people
that have that. So he cements his legacy with this. Just the last 11 years with him have been so underachieving and underwhelming. He's won a lot of tournaments, a ton of tournaments, but he always came up short in the majors when he was in position to win them. Like when he was standing over that putt on 18, I would have bet my house that he was missing that.
The one in the playoff?
No,
or
the one
in
to
regulation?
make it a playoff. Yeah. Like Rory did everything, and he hit some great shots, no doubt about it. That hooking iron shot on the par 5 when he missed the eagle putt, as you talked about, was 15. Just a ridiculously great shot. But he did everything he could to lose that tournament yesterday. Everybody else was just so far behind or didn't play well.
Well, they were even. I mean, he had no lead. The lead evaporated by the time he played 14. It was gone.
And he had a what? 5-stroke lead that he gave up?
He had 3-shot lead.
It was at least 4
at one point.
Once.
It got bigger. Yeah, at one point it got bigger. Yeah. Here's the deal, though, Bake. He's human.
For sure.
We want our sports stars to not be human. We want them to be robots. We want them to not have emotion. We want them to not be nervous. If you listen to him post round, he said he's never been more nervous for a round, and he went out and shot double bogey. Like the solitude of that sport is unlike anything else. When he got to the tee at 18 in regulation, and you just say, if you're him, you're saying it's 4 swings. It's 4 swings. You've made 1 billion swings in your life. It's 4 of them. It's 4 of them. And to get to that point as often as he has and not be able to close it out, and he spoke to how the nervous energy has gotten to him in the past. I mean, he was 4 shots up going to the back 9. When was that? 10 years ago at Augusta? And blocked it on 10 left into the houses. I mean, he has an incredible talent that he has worked tirelessly for, and probably has the best swing in golf and is the most powerful hitter, all of those things. But he's human, and the emotions got to him. It was stunning theater, stunning. And there were guys who made runs, but it was the one thing that was obvious was that the greens were just so damn fast that nobody could hold anything. So it was thrilling stuff. And you just put that into perspective, and you say, the second guy since 1966 to complete the career Grand Slam. That is tough stuff. And the shots on 15, 17, and in the playoff on 18 are all-timers. And he won it a bunch of times, and he lost it a bunch of times. And the rest is history, though, because now he's on this list, and my guess is he wins more now with this monkey off his back. We'll have more on this as it goes along. Spring game this weekend as well. The quarterback shined. The young kid really did. But this audience was not what we expected. We also had perhaps a seminal moment in college football down at Tennessee. A lot to get to today on the program. We're off and running on a Monday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're the girthiest radio station in the history of radio. Uncomfortably girthy. This promo is uncomfortable. The Fan, Ohio's girth destination.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Billy.
Hi, I'm Billy Hatcher, a former professional baseball player, and I'm a patient at Tri-State Men's Health. Before I started the treatment, it was like my body was sore all the time, and I was feeling very, very sluggish. One day, I would be full of energy, and the next day it was like, where did all my energy go? And since I've started, my body hasn't felt this good in a long time. I feel like, I'm not 21 to 25 again. It's just been great. I feel very, very comfortable coming here. When you have the energy, it's amazing. You get to do so many other things that you couldn't do prior to that. If you're tired of hurting in the mornings, you want to improve your health, you want to feel better, give a call to Tri-State Men's Health. I promise you, you will feel better.
Thanks, Billy. It's true. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like early pay. Moving up payday so you could get your money faster. Up to 2 days faster. And there's no cost. It's your money, right? So stop playing the waiting game. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
He opens his toolbox before he opens his wallet and believes you can fix anything with 20 minutes and some pride. He's Mr. DIY, and when he needs metal, he goes to metal supermarkets. Artists, hobbyists, machine shops, maintenance professionals, and welders all count on metal supermarkets for over 8,000 metal products, shapes, and grades. If it's metal, they've got it or can get it for you. Cut to any size and ready fast. Visit the family-owned franchise on North Wilson Road or Columbus at metalsupermarkets.com.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Columbus knows what it takes to be a champion. Just like your favorite team, Caster Connection plays to win. Our heavy-duty casters and wheels offer unmatched durability and ergonomic performance from manufacturing and material handling and beyond. With an unrivaled online inventory and the best consultative experts in the industry, we'll help you find the right caster for any job. Shop now at casterconnection.com and save 10% on online orders with promo code ROLL10. Not a retail location.
Common Man and T-Bone are known for many things. And while great radio ain't one of them, shoving food down their gullets is their specialty. Join Man and Bone for Fat Boy Food Tip.
Live at 3 or on the podcast.
Your home for fat. The Fan.
Help DEA keep our community safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
We plant trees because people need trees, and when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Mostly cloudy skies with some peaks of sunshine. Daytime highs soaring into the 70s. We have a chance of showers and thunderstorms late afternoon, early evening, some which could be strong to severe. For tonight, lows down into the 40s with a chance of showers. Otherwise, partly cloudy overnight. Tuesday, we'll see highs only in the 50s with a chance of showers and breezy winds. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Taking the art of sports radio and day drinking to a whole new level. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
I mean, there just was so much this weekend. I'd be candid with you guys. When I was putting the rundown together, I was like, we could do an hour on Nico Iamaleava. Easy. That's an easy hour at any point with what happened there. You could easily do 3 hours just on spring game. You could do an hour on the Blue Jackets somehow still being in this thing. Like, all of these things are independently interesting, let alone the NBA playoffs being set, the Masters, and the thrill that came with all of that. There was so much going on this weekend. I know, Bake, you were Jackets time on Saturday. You hosted your event. That looked like that went very, very well.
Yeah, it was a good time. Very fun. And, man, what two great, obviously, Hall of Famers, but Hall of Famers at life, too. What great guys Anthony Munoz and Dick Vermeil are. I can't believe at 88 years old, Dick Vermeil is still so sharp and, remembers, minute details of things that happened 40 years ago. Just so impressive.
And Reese, you were doing. I saw you with Dave Babner and Bone. You had stuff going on. You were out in the beautiful day. It ended up being a really nice day for it. A little chilly, but fine.
Yeah, 12,000 of us ran around campus yesterday for the Ohio State 4-miler. It was in its 13th year. And after that, I did an hour on the radio. So a pretty full day Sunday, pretty full weekend to Baker's point, because I also went to the Blue Jackets game and watched a bunch of fights break out.
It was
awesome.
There were a lot of fights.
There were so many Capitals fans that were there trying to watch history, and instead they watched an assing.
Oh, there was the idea that it was good. The thinking what they bought tickets thinking Ovi would be. They
thinking
didn't
it was going to either tie or break the streak. And so Capitals fans that I sat around were talking about how they had tickets for both games against the Blue Jackets on the weekend. They had quick flights either to Columbus or back to, I guess, Atlanta to D.C., whichever they could get to, so they wouldn't miss this. And boy, did they see a show both times. I'll tell you that much.
It was probably, 30-40% Capitals fans there Saturday?
There's a lot of red jerseys.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that we'll get into them at greater extent here in a little bit. But I think it's like one of those things where all the rest of us are kind of like, well, this is going to stop, right? Like this chance is going to stop. And then it just hasn't. Like they're still hanging on, which would be very on brand of them to take us all the way to the end and then for it not to work out. Listen, I think you're at the point with spring games, and I don't know that it's exclusively here. In fact, as you guys have in the prep, it's not. These have become tough sells for fans. They have been. And I think one thing that Ohio State probably would like to have back is the notion of calling it a spring showcase versus a spring game. We like games. We like offense versus defense. We like games. And I think semantics, they tried to make it right in the last couple of weeks and get the word out that it was a spring game. And Ryan Day needed a damn spring game. He was on with us Thursday. He needed to see these kids spin it. And boy, did he give them a chance to spin it. They threw it all over the place. I mean, it's honestly, from just how much data can I ascertain perspective, it was probably the best spring game I've ever seen. I mean, those three quarterbacks just slung it over and over and over again. Like, whatever, if you walked into that one and you had no opinion on saying Keenholz and St. Clair, you could watch. I mean, how many throws did those three have? Is it like 75 throws between the three of them? It's got to be close.
Yeah, it was at least 60, I believe.
I mean, Sayin was 25, wasn't he? And Keenholz had to be up there. They were all in the mid-20s.
I think Keenholz had 18, I believe, according to the official stats.
Okay. 61 total pass attempts is what I'm looking at from the stat sheet.
I mean, you want to see your quarterbacks, kids. You got to see your quarterbacks. But I think the marketing is part of it. And then I think the other thing is where all the fans, everybody, is just getting used to this new calendar of college football. And the idea that it feels like we just watched them play. And now all of a sudden we're coming back and watching again. And look, we still had 40,000 at this thing. Like these images from like the A-Day game down at Alabama. By the way, they have a quarterback competition as well. Last year, Alabama, 72,000 for Kalen DeBoer's first A-Day game. It looked to me like there was about 12 in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. So I think this is going to be something that kind of repeats around the country. But it ended up being about as consequential is the wrong word. It ended up being about as fun as any spring game I can remember because of what you got to see. And that was, we all wanted to see the quarterbacks. Ryan Day with us last Thursday said, my first eyes are going to the quarterbacks, and you got to see them.
I was thrilled with watching how much they challenged the defensive backs. I know it wasn't the most, there are a lot of vanilla defenses, but you saw a ton of throws that were broken up by really good pass coverage, really good throws by the three quarterbacks, by Julian, by Lincoln, by Tavion, but really good coverage. I mean, Mylan Graham had one down deep that you thought, well, you can't really defend that any better. And Mylan Graham, the hero of the spring game. This gave everybody a chance to kind of get acquainted with this new crop of Buckeyes. You talk about the defense, you're replacing 8 starters. And the coaching staff, I think, gave all of these guys a great chance to get as many reps as possible and to showcase their talent. And so for your point about this being the most entertaining spring game, this is at least one of them. And I think in future years, when they just keep it spring game, I think you'll see those numbers go from 40,000 to 42,000. Like, it's never going to get 80, 90,000 ever again, but you're going to see it. I think as long as you keep it spring game, you'll be able to showcase a lot of what you did on Saturday.
Bo, I still have not sat down and just specifically watched all of the spring game yet. I've seen parts of it. I saw most of the second half last night.
You were in hockey.
Because I was, and then everything that was going on when the replays were on, it was hard to see it and whatnot. But the one thing I noticed, and I think we kind of knew this with the quarterbacks, is we knew they all three had the talent, but they're all three so different from what little bit I saw. Like, Julian is obviously prototypical, what we think of, drop back quarterback. He's the most polished looking. It looks right with that guy. Lincoln, his throws to me the other day, so much more different than before when we've seen him, which isn't a lot. His arm looks so powerful. It looked like when he was throwing that ball that it had zip on it. And Tavian is just so big, and he's more of a slinger of the football. Like, it's kind of 3/4, almost baseball throw. And, man, it's got some power behind that frame.
Yeah, this is I asked Ryan that question last week when we had him on, and I said, what did you identify in these three guys in the recruiting process that led you to pursue them and make them be Buckeyes? And the reason I asked it is because they are all so different. You cannot have more different high school experiences than the three of them. And you could not be, at times, more different as players than the three of them are. They are wildly different as players. So it's just going to come down to, what does Ryan Day want out of the quarterback position at Ohio State? What does he want that job to be? The job that we thought Will Howard was going to be was point guard. That's what we thought. And at times he was that. And at times he needed to be a little bit more. So is that what you're looking for? If you need a point guard, I think there's a very clear answer with who the point guard of this offense can be. And what I saw on Saturday reminded me very much of a former quarterback in recent years that ended up taking home the Stiff Arm Trophy. I'll give you that comparison. You'll hear from Ryan Day and his quarterbacks in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BODY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BODY to 321-321. That's BODY to 321-321.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
New career opportunities near you. Uline is opening a new 1.4 million square foot distribution center in Etna, and they're looking for exceptional people to join their Ohio team. Interview for warehouse positions at their upcoming April hiring event. Warehouse workers earn pay starting from $25 an hour with significant growth and earning potential. Plus, get full health benefits and a 401k match from day one. Sign up for your interview this April in Etna at uline.jobs. That's uline.jobs.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could dump all your problems on someone else's back? Well, when you wake up to a clogged drain or a plumbing issue, make that Mr. Rooter's problem.
Call 855-MISTERS today or MrRooter.com.
Call Mr. Rooter. He'll be there quick.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
And here's what's up on a Monday edition of the program. Spring game in the books, spring football in the books. Buckeyes heading to Washington, D.C. today for their meeting with the president. And then Wednesday, the spring transfer portal window opens, and that might end up being loaded with fireworks. But in terms of what we saw Saturday in the spring game, I think Julian Sand is Bryce Young. That's what I think he is. I think he's that good. I think his release is that quick. He's like watching a video game. It's like playing a video game like the NCAA video game, and you hit an X or a circle or a square, and it goes exactly where you intend it. The ball comes out quick. It comes out crisp. It lands on the hands of receivers. To your point, Reese, about the defensive backs that broke them up, there was a couple down the seam that he just threaded that went off of hands or were in the vicinity, and there was a defensive back that was draping a receiver, and he still puts it right on the hands. There's an accuracy and a twitch to his arm and throws that is, it just jumps off the screen. And he reminds me very much of Bryce Young. It looks to be about the same size, looks to have about a similar arm talent. And it just, to me, it feels like if that's the type of player that Ryan Day wants, just a maestro of the offense, then Julian Sayin is the clear pick. And the other two are great. I mean, Keenholz looked great. He's come a long way. To Bake's earlier point, he's come a long way. And Tavian's got a bright, bright future, just a little raw, but bright, bright future. And if he sticks around and goes to quarterback finishing school for the next couple of years, is going to be a superstar. There's no doubt. Any one of them would be. But knowing Ryan a little bit and knowing the talent on the roster, to me, if you're looking for a maestro, you have one, and he wears number 10.
I mean, that's why even with 4 quarterbacks last year and the 4 really talented quarterbacks you had in the room, when Julian Sayin became available, you went and got him. And you didn't waste any time as soon as Nick Saban called it a career. And that, to me, spoke the highest. That's almost the highest praise you can give anybody without saying, hey, he's a really good quarterback, is your actions do more talking than anything you could possibly say. And that's why once they got him out of the transfer portal, and then every time they talked about the quarterbacks, it was Will and maybe a little bit about Devin, but it was Julian. And what you saw, I think, on Saturday kind of cemented everybody. It feels like everybody's opinion is, yeah, it's Julian's to lose this job into the fall.
What you just said is really important when you talk about the actions, Reese, because you have to remember, not only did they have a full room, but they also had Aaron Nolan in the class. So they knew enough about Julian's talent and the fit that they were willing to risk that to bring him in, upsetting the apple cart, because you couldn't have 2 kids in the same class, and Nolan's now at South Carolina. But they spent a lot of time on Aaron Nolan and liked him a lot. But when Julian became available, his skill set was something that made it impossible to ignore. And this is not to take away from the other two, because I think the other two, I think Lincoln Keenholz will be a hell of a quarterback here. I mean, just a tremendous athlete. I think he'd be a hell of a player. To me, and it's one spring game, and obviously Lincoln had the big day the week before at the fan practice, so all of this is a grain of salt. It's one metric. But when you factor it into what you just pointed out, Reese, about the recruiting process, you factor in also what we've been hearing last year at spring through the season, and then you watch it in front of 40-some thousand people on a Saturday, and you just go, it's pretty obvious. It jumps off the screen. Go ahead, Vic.
There's a reason Julian Sayin was the number 1 quarterback coming out in his class last year, and you got a glimpse of that on Saturday. Like I said before, he is, it just looks like a kid that has been groomed to be a quarterback and is polished as to what we're used to as a quarterback. I remember going out, Bo, to a DeSales practice 2 years ago when Ryan's son, RJ, was a freshman. And I remember watching him in practice, and regardless of anything else, I remember watching him and seeing every snap, it was like intentional, and everything he did, every movement he did, every turn, like it looked like what you've seen from a quarterback before. And that's what we saw with Julian. It just looks like what our eyes have seen for years.
Yeah, let's hear from the coach. Here was Ryan post-game on the quarterbacks.
I felt like, Lincoln settled down after the first drive or so, made some nice throws, but I thought Julian, for the most part, early on, was in rhythm and moved the team down the field for a couple touchdowns, which was good. Made some nice throws. There's certainly a lot to grow from, and this is why we did this. You can see it was a fairly significant emphasis on throwing the ball to see how the quarterbacks were going to respond, and so we'll use this as another evaluation tool, because right from the jump, from when we got off the bus to when we just finished there, I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we did the spring game. I wasn't sure, but it was definitely the right thing to do. I wish we could have stayed out there for another 4 hours and gotten these reps and getting these guys some work. On defense, the guys were very, very vanilla You can see it was really 2 coverages all day in one front, which is not what we saw all spring. But I felt like for the most part we got a chance to have some film to evaluate, see how the quarterbacks handle themselves in front of the crowd, and kind of go from there and build from it. So what we'll do next week is we have our post-spring evaluations for all guys and go through and figure out what they did well and what they need to improve on as we head into the summer.
Ryan he got what he wanted. He wanted 40,000 people. He wanted those quarterbacks throwing it a ton. He wanted them to have some success. He mentioned just 2 defensive coverages. That was not set up. By the way, Ryan being an offensive-minded head coach, it's not surprised that he would set up the spring game to have a little bit of fireworks. But he wanted to see these kids throw it. He wanted to know how they would handle throwing in front of a large audience and throwing with pressure. He wanted to know how they would handle. Look, back 9 at Augusta is a theme of the day, right? This was their back 9 at Augusta. Like, that's what happened on Saturday was, okay, let's see what happens here, boys. Let's put you all in the pressure cooker. And he's right. Lincoln, after the first series where he was a little bit off on kind of all of his throws, he really settled in and made some really nice throws as it went along. But this was a huge evaluation point for Ryan. It was a big, big day for the quarterbacks. Man, I hope they all stick around because I think they all have really bright futures. They probably need to add a veteran in the portal. Probably not a veteran who most recently was in Knoxville, but they probably need to add a veteran in the portal and just kind of beef up that room. But with all that was on it, for saying to come out that crisp, it's an attention getter.
I said this to Bone yesterday. I think what Ohio State needs to look for is someone in the middle of Tristan Gebbia and Will Howard for their portal person, to get a quarterback that is going to help develop these quarterbacks, not only as a quarterback that's seen a lot of college football, but just develop them as professionals, right? And kind of teach them how to be and how to kind of carry themselves in a manner that Will did. And also in case of like the most emergency ever imaginable, you can break glass and have some confidence that the quarterback's going to be able to do it. Because I think from what we saw on Saturday, I'd feel comfortable with 2 of the quarterbacks starting against Texas. Yeah. Probably in a lot of trouble if it's got to be Tavian. But in games the rest of the way, I'd like to see all 3 of them. If situations present themselves, and I'll keep hammering this until the Michigan game in November. If you have the opportunity to put a quarterback in, your backup, your third string with the full complement of Ohio State's offense, you have to do it now after you saw what happened in that college football playoff. Like, we'll talk more about Nico Iamaleava, but wasn't his helmet broken?
Yeah,
in that game against the Buckeyes, to where you thought, okay, this could get bad if Tennessee's able to win, or if Will Howard had gone down. You need depth, and you need depth that can go out there and perform. And so this is the test of that.
You do.
And this helps you.
And so I think they want all those guys in the mix.
Yeah.
That you're exactly right, Reese. They want them all. They want them going nowhere. They want Kienholz in the mix. I think they're not going to crown anybody. Like, let's remember, Kienholz had a great fan practice last Saturday. He did. He had a great fan practice last Saturday, and that resonates too. That's a box that needed to be checked. This is for Ryan and for Brian and everyone who's going to make this decision. This is one of those moments where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, what do we want? What do we want out of the quarterback spot? Because these are choices. These are going to be specific choices about a style of play at the quarterback position. And to me, that's what it looks. I think Kienholz is probably more in like the Will Howard mold. That's more that style of quarterback. I don't know that we've had one like Julian. I can't think of anybody in the recent, probably a little bit of CJ. But the release and stuff is even so refined to that. Again, he reminds me of Bryce Young. That's what he looks like, stature-wise. That's what the ball looks coming out of his hand. He looks like Bryce Young to me. And if you're worried about what Bryce Young is in the pros, don't be, because you're not playing pro football. You're playing college football. And that's what he looks like. It comes out quick. It's on time. It's in stride. It hits him in the hands. He sees it, and it's gone quick. And that was a big metric, a big box to check for him on Saturday.
Sounds like you just said Julian Sayin could be the quarterback of the Browns. It's what Kevin Stefanski wants.
It is. That's what you want. That's it. Yeah. Well, when I thought maybe Carolina was going to bail on Bryce Young, I'm like, he would actually be a pretty good fit for the Browns if they want to go. If you could get him for the cheap, go get that style of quarterback and throw him in there. It might work out pretty good. A little bit later in the program, you're going to hear from Ryan on Mylan Graham, who is one of the stars. We'll hear from on Brian Hartline and his play calling in the spring game and what needs to happen between now and the opener against Hookham Horns. Coming up next, the Blue Jackets. Staying alive, baby. Staying alive. Unbelievable stuff over the weekend for them. We'll get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're known for three things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking. An account that's filled with features, but no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Because it's your money, right? So we think you should keep it. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus location this month and buy 3 select tires, you'll get the 4th tire free, plus a free alignment. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Hey friends, Beamer here, 70 pounds down. Let that sink in. I'm officially 70 pounds down, all thanks to Awaken 180, and have transitioned smoothly into maintenance mode. This isn't just weight loss, this is life-changing stuff. I've dropped over 13% body fat, my visceral fat points are down by 8, and honestly, I feel like a completely new man. The coolest part, Awaken 180 just doesn't say congrats and then wave goodbye. They prepare you for maintenance, so now I get to reintroduce to myself foods that I love. Pizza, ice cream, very excited about all of that. My mindset's completely different though now. Do I crave junk food? Honestly, no. Can I eat those things now? Sure. Will I? Absolutely. But the difference is I no longer feel like I need them all the time. And Awaken 180's free support for life means that this weight's staying off. My body's now working for me instead of against me. I'm finally at my healthy baseline weight. I feel awesome. Change your mindset, change your life. Awaken 180 made it happen for me. And if it can happen for me, it can 100% happen for you. Check them out online at awaken180weightloss.com. awaken180weightloss.com.
We're catching up with that famous deep-sea explorer, Jacques Black Jacques. Jacques, where are you today? You're in Columbus. What could you possibly be exploring in Columbus?
The April showers bring flooding to Batmans.
Oh, I see. Spring rains mean basements are flooding.
This not necessary. Apex Pros.
Not necessary. Call Apex Pros.
A simple zoom pump chick.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding this. Zoom pump check. Sump pump check. Are you saying sump pump check?
Oui.
Yes, of course. Sump pump check from the pros who knows at Apex Pros.
They come to your house.
They come to your house.
They test your zoom pump.
They test your, what is it again?
Zoom pump.
Sump pump, right.
All with a 5-star guarantee.
All with a 5-star guarantee. Now, see, I understood that perfectly.
No doubt about it. Columbus loves Apex Pros. The pros who knows. ApexPros.com.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Hi, here are some ways to listen to The Fan. You can download the Fan app or listen at home on your smart speaker or open up the iHeartRadio app or hold your head out the window and hear Common Man scream. Happy listening from the Dopes at The Fan.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on Green Bay's team. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
A SoFi Personal Loan is here to help you achieve something once thought impossible: overcoming high-interest credit card debt. Walk the tightrope of your finances with one low, fixed-rate monthly payment, no fees required, and as soon as the same-day funding. That's right, pull off your own debt-defying stunt with a SoFi Personal Loan. Visit SoFi.com/trick to learn more. Loans originated by SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply, NMLS 696891.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric, and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
The perfect show for quarter zips and khaki shorts. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Well, maybe we did these guys a disservice. The tone for much of last week in regard to the Blue Jackets was, yeah, they blew it. They blew it in March. There was a month. We had a couple of Shelley times where Jody and I kind of lamented everything that had happened in the month and just said it's just too much to overcome. You basically have to be perfect the rest of the way, and you need Montreal to lose the rest of the way. Any single loss, any stumble, and you're cooked. And they just haven't lost. And then Montreal hasn't won. And so you have a situation now where with 2 games to go, they're still alive. They are the only team still alive in the Eastern Conference. They're currently 3 points back of Montreal with 2 to play. There's no games in hand. Montreal's played 80. The Jackets have played 80. They did it in emphatic fashion over the weekend. They've won 4 in a row now, but outscoring the Caps 11-1 in those. They are at the Flyers. That game is set for tomorrow, and then we'll close out the regular season. But again, we got to watch what the Jackets do just as much as we have to watch what the Canadiens are doing as well, because any point going their way ends this thing. But they've got the Isle on Thursday. They've got the Flyers in Philly on Tuesday. Do you have Montreal's for me, Beck?
They play tonight against Chicago, and then I believe Wednesday they wrap up their season against Carolina. Real quick, Bo, Montreal can still lose one of these games in overtime. Yeah. They can get one more point, and the Jackets can be okay as long as they win both of their games in regulation, because the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. Montreal is at 29 right now. If the Jackets, they're at 28, get 2, they would be at 30, so they would win a tiebreaker in that scenario. So Montreal can lose one of these games in overtime, and the Jackets still be okay.
Okay, so first to 89 isn't necessarily true. It's the way you get there. So any Montreal win, it's done, because they're at 88, then it's done.
Yes.
But if Montreal were to lose one of these games, if they were to lose them both and lose one of them in overtime, you could still get at 80, even though they would be at 89, you'd have the tiebreaker. This is, it's Lucy from Charlie Brown. It's right. So we're back. We're back in. Now we're going to put ourselves all into this thing and get all locked back into it. But you have to respect the fight. You have to respect the weekend, beating the Caps 11-1. Dean Evison likes how the team continues to meet the challenge.
Yeah, no, we had a chat before the game about, that we need to be prepared to play any game that, presents itself to us. And not that it's different. Like, we've asked our group to do that, all year, and they've responded to it, and they did here tonight. So yeah, the intensity level was really high again, and really, pleased with how we responded as a team together.
Also, I think it's important when you're in these spots to acknowledge you're in these spots, and Dean Evison had some comments on paying attention to where the standings are. They're very keenly aware.
So we're trying to get in the playoffs, right? We know where we're at. Like, I told you guys before, some guys watch, some guys don't, but you'd have to be, I don't know what you'd have to be to not know where we're at, right? So everybody knows, like, we have to win. So, we're conducting ourselves like that. We're playing hard every night, trying to get 2 points every night to get where we want to be, and that's in the playoffs.
Jet Graves is awesome. He's awesome. Bake, you were curious about him last week, if he could be more of a long-term guy. He had himself a weekend.
He sure did. And every time Jed Greaves has come up the last 3 years, he has sure looked pretty impressive. And it almost makes you wonder, Bo, when the Jackets were struggling in March, why not maybe bring this kid up? Because he was in the midst of a run with Cleveland in that time where he had like a .945 save percentage, and you almost think, man, when Elvis, because you could tell they've lost faith in Tarasov a while ago.
Yeah.
When Elvis started struggling, you kind of wonder why they didn't make this move sooner, maybe.
I mean, it's 3 straight for him.
And it does help, obviously, that Saturday game when you have cushions of 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals. Similarly, on Sunday, I do think with the Elvis and what could have been with Jet, or I think they still wanted to see what they had with Tarasov, and I think it even goes back to the deadline where they didn't make any major moves because they didn't want to upset the room. The way Elvis had been playing since January. If you're an old school hockey guy, you're like, well, I can't jettison him just yet. I want him to play his way out of these slumps. And you obviously sit here today with a 3.6% chance to make the playoffs and go, damn it, if they had just, given Elvis 1 or 2 less starts in that stretch, I don't know if that does anybody any good right now.
No, you can't play the what-if game. It is what it is. But he's been great, and he's won 3 in a row, and he's been a big part of it. Another big part of it has been Adam Fantilli, who we wondered, we made a big deal about him getting to 25 goals faster than Bedard or Carlson did. Well, he might get 30. Is kind of where we're at now. He's been unbelievable. I was listening to you and Bids on the show yesterday, on Sunday's show, Bake, and we were on our way to youth AAU basketball. And I heard you talking about Fantilli's play in the game before and just saying that's something we've kind of been waiting for forever, is that type of play out of a centerman.
Not just a centerman, Bo, but just a star player, right? And I think we can all agree with what we've seen from Fantilli this year. He's on his way to being a star in this league. But the Jackets have never had a top-line player who was just a menace to play against, like a Brad Marchand, even though I don't think Fantilli will stretch the rules like that, or even as the Caps have with the Tom Wilson. We've had the Scott Hartnells, we've had the Brandon Dubinskis, we've had the Nick Folignos, but I don't think they were ever top of the lineup guys like Adam Fantilli is going to be for this team, and just play with that edge and be so hard to play against. That play where he blasts Ryan Leonard and then goes up ice and scores the goal, that just encapsulated everything Adam Fantilli can be for this team.
Being at Nationwide for that sequence, with 50 seconds left to go in the first period, I think it's the greatest thing I've seen at that arena ever. And I exactly what you're saying, Baker. You've never had your alpha be an ass kicker. And that's what this team has right now with Fantilli.
He's 19.
Why 3.6% doesn't seem so far-fetched for this team to make the playoffs right now where they've been playing.
He's 19 or 20 years old.
Bo, when that happened, the only thing I could think of in my head was those guys sitting on the bench talking about that sequence and the scene from Anchorman where they're like, Brick killed a guy. That's how I imagine them having a discussion on the bench.
He's got 29 goals. He's going to get 30. He's going to score in one of the next 2 for sure. He might get more. And he's got 29 kids.
Who would have guessed? There was no doubt Kirill Marchenko was going to lead this team in goals for the year. Yeah. Adam Fantilli's 2 behind him now.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. Werenski had some thoughts on Fantilli's play of late. Here's Zach.
Yeah, he's been huge, especially as of late. He scored some huge goals for us, made some big plays, and playing the right way. He's playing responsible. He's taking care of all of his defensive duties and letting his skill take over. So it's been a ton of fun to watch him do his thing out there.
Yep, 2 left at Philly on Tuesday, and then here to close it out against the Isle on Thursday. But of course, you're paying attention to Montreal as well. A win they get the Blackhawks tonight. Is Bedard playing? Are the Blackhawks going to try? It's in Montreal.
I'm sure there's been some text to former CBJ captain Nick Foligno. Hey, Nick, let's rally the troops tonight.
Well, there might be something to be said about wanting to play spoiler. If you're out there, if you're either Carolina or Chicago and you want to eliminate a team from the playoffs, there's your opportunity. Or at least that's what you hope for as a Jackets fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That's where you stand. They're still in it, 2 to play, and still alive to get in to the fight for Lord Stanley. A surreal story on Saturday in regard to college football and what could be a seminal moment for the sport. We will have that for you coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We are your radio home for the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. We may have a bit of a football problem. Oh, yeah? The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply.
Men over 40, struggling with low energy, not feeling like yourself. Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Get started today. Visit one of their conveniently located clinics, meet a medical provider, and get back to feeling your best. This April only, the consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you, and it's covered by most major insurance. Get treated at one of the Low T Centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. That's lowtcenter.com.
Attention kingdom-seeking business professionals, entrepreneurs, and investors in Columbus. Are you ready to experience a life-changing event that will elevate your faith, finances, and future in 2025? Then you won't want to miss this. Join us for Life Search, featuring Champions of Faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center for an extraordinary one-day event that will empower you to transform every area of your life through the power of faith. Prepare to be inspired by an incredible lineup of champions, including college football champions Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, three-time national champion head coach Urban Meyer, sportscaster Kirk Herbstreit, two-time national football champion Tim Tebow, and more. These champions have experienced firsthand how faith transforms lives, and they'll be joining Life Search to share their powerful stories and insights on how to integrate faith into your business, finances, and every aspect of your journey. Seats are selling fast to this unforgettable event, so don't wait. Head to lifesearch.com now to secure your tickets before they're gone. Life Search featuring Champions of Faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center. Don't miss out. Your transformation begins here. Visit lifesearch.com today.
Spring forward, Columbus, with the Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling Services. We're here to thaw you out with this limited time offer. Get up to $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer is too good to pass up. The Waterworks and Header Heating and Cooling now together to serve you better with $2,000 off a new complete furnace and AC system. This offer won't last. Call us today, 614-232-2222. That's 614-232-2222.
Spring is here and it's time for a fresh start, starting with your ride. At Germain Toyota, we've got an offer that'll drive you into the season in style. Get behind the wheel of a 2025 Toyota Tundra SR5 today for just $499 a month. That's right, a powerful, rugged Tundra, just like the one I'm driving, for $449 a month for 36 months. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road, or online at germaintoyota.net. $39.99 down, 36-month lease, plus tax, title, and fees. No security deposit required with approved credit. Offer ends soon. See dealer for details.
Columbus knows what it takes to be a champion. Just like your favorite team, Caster Connection plays to win. Our heavy-duty casters and wheels offer unmatched durability and ergonomic performance from manufacturing and material handling and beyond. With an unrivaled online inventory and the best consultative experts in the industry, we'll help you find the right caster for any job. Shop now at casterconnection.com and save 10% on online orders with promo code ROLL10. Not a retail location.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reese. Sir, the Blue Jackets have a 3.6% chance to make the Stanley Cup playoffs with 2 games remaining. CBJ need to win out and have the Canadiens drop at least one of their final 2. Montreal leads Columbus by 3 points for the second wildcard spot in the East. Canadiens will play the Blackhawks Monday night. A win there likely eliminates the Jackets. A loss by Montreal keeps the door open for Columbus, who plays at Philadelphia tomorrow night against the Flyers at 7 o'clock. CBJ riding a 4-game win streak after beating the Capitals twice over the weekend. In golf yesterday, Rory McIlroy beat Justin Rose in a one-hole playoff to win the 89th Masters. McIlroy becomes just the 6th golfer to compete the career Grand Slam. It's his first major title since the 2014 PGA Championship. This update sponsored by High Bank Distillery. Drink Whiskey War by High Bank Distillery, I should say. Drink local, drink High Bank. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
They'll offer betting advice, but don't bet on it being good. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
This isn't quite, it's not quite what an example we've used many times on the show, which is quarterback or star player or big-time player in the middle of the college football playoff saying, yeah, I'm not going to play unless you give me a little cash. I need a little bit of a raise here. It's not quite that, but it's in the ballpark of that, and it could have been, and maybe still will be, a jumping off point to that. But needless to say, we took note of this last week because we'd never seen this go public. We had never seen a player leak publicly that they were seeking for more money and a new contract to play college football. Hadn't seen that yet, not publicly. We hadn't seen a college player use the media the way we so often see, for example, NBA players use the media to leak out their information or their intent. Hadn't seen it. So when that happened last week between Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee situation, we took notice and said, that's new. It's the first time we've seen that. Then after we got off the show on Friday, we found out that Nico skipped Friday's practice. So that's noteworthy, right? All of a sudden we're skipping practices, spring practices. He was a no-show. So then on Saturday, you get the news that Tennessee says, yeah, we're good. We'll see on down the line. And Josh Heupel, after the spring game on Saturday at Tennessee, saying, quote, this program has been around for a long time. There are a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players who came before that laid the cornerstone pieces, the legacy, the tradition that is Tennessee football. It's going to be around for a long time after I'm gone and after they're gone. In other words, no one player is bigger than the program. Now, the cynic in me would say, well, Nico's not that good. If he was great, you probably would have paid him. He's fine. He's a nice player. But if he were better, I think that probably doesn't get to this point. But it probably got to the point where, and now that you're seeing some of the reporting out of Tennessee, that he has been kind of a problem to deal with since he's been there in terms of showing up for his obligations and so forth and so on. The other thing that's happening here, and this is a very real thing that's happening, is this House settlement is coming, and with it is going to hopefully, in the terms of the administrators, the athletic directors, and coaches, will also come some stability and guidelines and guardrails in regard to name, image, and likeness, and in regard to these contracts. And so what's happening in men's college basketball, women's college basketball to a lesser extent, and especially in football, and I think it's going to happen in 2 days when this portal opens, is this is the last real big bite at the apple for a lot of these kids. We saw some reporting last week that men's basketball players $4 million on the transfer portal, this type of stuff, because they know that there's going to be a cap of some sort, or they think that there's going to be a cap of some sort that's going to come with this House ruling that'll come at some point. The preliminary hearing was last week on. So all of that to be said, here's how I think this went down, listening to and reading as much as I have on this thing. I think Nico Iamaleava went to Tennessee and said, 2's nice, it's going to be 4. Tennessee said, well, wait a second. We gave you $8 million over the course of the deal. He was the $8 million guy, remember. We gave you $8 million over the course of the deal. We're not paying you $4 million. He said, you're going to pay me or I'm not going to play here anymore, and I'm going to skip practice. And Tennessee said, okay, we call your bluff. And now he's going to be a free agent. We also know, feel pretty strongly about this, that the reason that Tennessee became aware of this is because of Dan Lanning at Oregon. So Lanning would not confirm nor deny this after Oregon's spring game, but he was asked directly. It feels like Iamaleava's folks were reaching out to, let's say, USC, potentially even to Oregon, and saying, are you interested? And Lanning said, well, I'm not having that. And so he called Tennessee and said, this is happening. You ought to be aware. I think that you can draw that conclusion pretty straight because he did not confirm nor deny. Go ahead, Big.
The ESPN article actually says that his representatives did reach out directly to Oregon.
There you go. So they're trying to find a home for him where he can financially benefit. Now, if you're out there and you're saying, well, wait a second, he's already making $2 million a year and he wants more? Like, what? Yeah. Welcome to college athletics in 2025. This is where we're at. They are trying to leverage their stuff. Now, if you go back to conversations that James and I had, man, this is at the onset of NIL. The one thing he and I said, and I think relatively intelligent humans, him more so than me, the one thing we said was the only correcting name, image, and likeness and paying for players is going to be self-correcting. It's going to be boosters and programs saying, no, we're good. We've given enough, right? We've paid enough. We've given you enough. We are not getting ROI on this. In fact, the example that he and I used was Nico. I remember using him as an example. Like, Tennessee compensated him richly because from a recruiting standpoint, it was a huge win. Josh Heupel needed a big win in recruiting. He needed a 5-star win in recruiting to show that he was up to task at Tennessee. And so they compensated him, and they got him, and they paid him. But when you do that, how the hell do you coach him? How can you coach a guy who you paid $2 million to not play? How can you hold them accountable when they have no contracts? They can go whenever they want. The only people who can hold them accountable is the people controlling the purse strings saying, yeah, we're good. We're not doing this anymore. And then the truth of it is Iamaleava has not been as good. He's not been good enough to demand the $4 million. He hasn't. And Heupel said, yeah, we're good. We're going to move on. I think that's the read on it. I don't know where the kid ends up. I don't know if he's a difference maker wherever he ends up. He was tough as nails here. I'll give him credit for that. I mean, he had a cracked helmet. He kept fighting. He got battered, and he kept battling. So he was tough, no question. But there's also no question that if you're a programmer around the country and this kid pops in, you say, well, if we give him the 4, who's to say he's going to be here for another year?
I'm wondering.
This was always coming, guys. It was always coming.
And I think when it opens the portal on Wednesday, there's going to be Texas schools that are going to be the ones that say, yeah, $4 million for an absolute quarterback right now. Like I'm thinking of your Ponies.
Texas Tech.
I'm thinking.
The Ponies got Jennings back, and he was pretty good last year.
Until he wasn't.
He wasn't in the Penn State game.
Like, you have Nico in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe SMU's thinking, all right, we give him $4 million, or maybe even Houston. Let me make a run at this for 1 year.
I was thinking Texas Tech.
Sure.
Man money.
But it's only, I think, schools there that would want to do something like this. To get into business with this kind of, this is a wild card, right? Because you got his father calling, saying derogatory things about reporters and hitting post, which you should never do. Don't tweet through it, Mr. Iamaleava. You have to be damn sure that your team's willing and able to handle this kind of a wild card. Because it didn't feel like, if it's not Tennessee, there's going to be a lot of programs that consider themselves on a Tennessee level. They'd be like, no, we're not, no, thank you.
I agree with you on that.
I thought of two things when this happened, when we heard this. That one, we kind of talked about this last week, I believe, in the fact that what is going to be the worst case scenario in all of this? What is going to happen? And I think the only thing that would be worse than this for Tennessee is if this would have happened like before the game against Ohio State last year in the playoffs. If he tried to hold him up for more money then, right before that game. The other thing that I thought of is, what if this was the quarterback at Ohio State? And how crazy this would be.
Well, yeah. I mean, Tennessee's not quite the Ohio State level, but they're in the ballpark of it. I mean, they are a monster program with a ton of money and a ton of great history. And so we know. I don't think it ever would have happened here. I think when you're at Ohio State, you don't have to do. This is the thing you have to remember. This reminds me, honestly, what Michigan did with Underwood, where you need a win in recruiting in the worst way to prove that a new coach is on the right path. And so you just say, yes, sir, may I have another? What do you need? I need you to sign on the line, which is dotted. And you put yourself in a position with a player who maybe personality-wise has some traits you're not crazy about. But because you need that ranking, because you need that player for the momentum that it provides, this is what you get. Like, the first thing I thought of with this was Underwood at Michigan. He didn't want to play at Michigan. He wanted to go play at LSU. But the Michigan money was the Michigan money. And so he signed. Like, are we sure they're not going to be in the same spot? Ohio State does not have to make those concessions with players. They don't have to do it. They have a standard with which they recruit to. Not to say they haven't been. I'm sure there's been guys on their roster who have tried to hold them over a barrel and probably will try in 2 days. But they can also hold firm in a way that others probably can't. And I think this is really good out of Tennessee for saying, yeah, no. This is a 63% passer, 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's a nice player. Nice player. But does not appear to be, to me at least, does not appear to have, like, for example, a long NFL career. So he's got to make his, and from his perspective, let's be fair, this is his window to maybe make more money than he's ever going to make in his life right now.
Just like, I'm not going to pay you $4.5 million to run out of bounds against Arkansas.
No. No, they're not.
And it's a shame that this is the way, like we talked about yesterday, Biddle and I don't really blame, other than the whole, I think this is being a bad teammate part of this. There's no guarantee that Nico is ever going to be a pro. This may be his only chance to make money playing the game that he loves. So I guess I don't blame him for trying to make more money. But, God, I love that the school said go pound sand.
Yeah. Paul Feinbaum weighed in on it on Sports Center. We'll get his thoughts on it and also where the Buckeyes could be looking in the portal, if anywhere. I do think there's a couple of spots they'll try to add some talent. We will get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Big Voice Guy here to remind you that you're listening to The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Okay, thanks. I have 3 more seconds. Bye-bye.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. At Giant Eagle, we combine exceptional customer service and quality foods, all at great value to make the most of your shopping trip. Visit Giant Eagle or Market District today to see how easy it is to save.
Colin Mann here for the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Watching big events are more fun at Hollywood Casino. For example, there's this draft thing coming up. Large men get selected to move to different cities and play football. That's all I'm legally allowed to say. Not only do you get the excitement of on-site wagering and camaraderie, there's prizes to win at the Sportsbook. And sign up for Penn Play Rewards and play up to $500 on the house. Do it now. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like early pay. You could get paid up to 2 days faster and there's no cost. So stop playing the waiting game. Make the switch today at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
When it's time to ask life's biggest question, make sure your ring says it all. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from The Diamond Seller, and we've been helping couples say yes for over 78 years. From brilliant cuts to better prices, the quality and selection of our diamonds is unmatched. Because diamonds aren't just our business, they're our legacy. Visit us at Diamond Cellar on Sawmill Road or Easton Town Center and learn more at diamondcellar.com. Bigger diamonds, better prices, guaranteed.
Bobby Carpenter here for Germain Toyota. Swing by Germain Toyota and ask for Marcello and discover unbeatable deals and a wide selection of new and certified pre-owned Toyota vehicles. Visit them at germaintoyota.net. Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road.
This year, we considered hiring an ad agency to help with our marketing.
They pitched impressive visuals and a script that was inspiring.
And exotic animal mascots to help grab your attention.
In the end, we just decided to tell it to you straight. Shelter Insurance has award-winning customer service at affordable rates.
Plus, our local agents are there to help you understand what coverage you need.
To find an agent near you, visit shelterinsurance.com and switch today.
The Buckeye Show.
I'm never going to be I would rather lose every game of the season if I can beat Michigan. That's absurd. So you're just an idiot.
The Buckeye Show.
Presented by Coors Light and sponsored by CareSource.
Weeknights at 6 on The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Mostly cloudy skies with some peaks of sunshine. Daytime highs soaring into the 70s. We have a chance of showers and thunderstorms late afternoon, early evening, some which could be strong to severe. For tonight, lows down into the 40s with a chance of showers. Otherwise, partly cloudy overnight. Tuesday, we'll see highs only in the 50s with a chance of showers and breezy winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
Here's a listener tweet. Are Men and Bone stupid in real life? Yes. Yes, they are. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan. Sports conversation that's worthy of a toast, or at least a stiff drink. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And we are brought to you and sponsored by our great friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 78 years. Talking about the Nico Iamaleava situation at Tennessee, our good buddy Paul Feinbaum is with us every single Thursday. He was on SportsCenter after this went official. He had this to say about the situation at Tennessee.
Degree by Nico and his people. They went to bat for him about a year ago. They fought the NCAA, who wanted to rule him ineligible because of the recruiting. And they stood by and they kept his eligibility. They gave him a chance. And by the way, he helped to reward them by helping Tennessee get to the playoffs last year. But the bigger story here is beyond Nico. This is an inflection point in the history of college football. This is the first time in this NIL era that we have had a literal holdout. Happens every day in the NFL. It's never happened in college football. He was expected to make about $2.5 million, and while people are seeing their 401s crash right now, he wanted more than that, reportedly as much as $4 million. And Tennessee finally said, you know what, we're done. What's interesting is he's not that great. I talked to various sources around the SEC yesterday, and I said, tell me where he ranks out of the 16 quarterbacks in the SEC. They said somewhere between 6 and 8. Tennessee saw the same thing, and that's why he is no longer on the Tennessee roster this morning.
Yeah, that goes kind of back to the point I was making, fellas, where, like, if he were great, then they pay. He was good. He's a really nice player. He was a really good player. Has he lived up to what they paid to acquire him in the beginning? Maybe he was starting to. It's hard to say. But you have to take yourself back to the recruiting process and say, why was it necessary to give him the money they gave him when they gave it to him? And the answer was they needed program momentum. And that's why they did it. And then when you do that, you make that deal with someone who maybe didn't love Tennessee to begin with. And that has to be part of it. We've heard Saban talk about this in recent years. Most times talking to recruits in the last few years, the two questions you get are, when am I going to play and how much am I going to make? This is the situation that the adults in the room let this get to. And don't take your frustration out on the kids or their parents. They're maximizing the situation that has been curated by the adults in the room at the NCAA. And let's also remember this. When we refer to the NCAA, they're not this big, bad villain. They're your university presidents and athletic directors and conference commissioners. They're not an independent governing body. They answer to the presidents. They answer to the athletic directors. Nobody wanted to do anything about this. So this is where you get. And I do agree with Paul. I think this is an inflection point in the sport. Now, will anybody else follow suit? Will another kid try to do this? Where does Nico land? Does he land at USC? They're going to pay $4 million for him? Go to Texas Tech? Where do you go? Where's the landing spot here? It can't be in the SEC. So it's going to have to be either in the Big Ten or the Big 12. He's going to try and play at a high level.
I thought the Tate Martell thing was going to be the cautionary tale of transfer portal persons. This might be that. This might be, in terms of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Grass is not always greener when you go look for other pastures to graze in, because I don't see Nico getting what he wants in terms of money. And I think that when this thing opens on Wednesday, it'll be kind of interesting to see if there's a bigger fish that puts their name in than Nico Iamaleava. But
yes, it will be.
He ain't getting $4 from a team that's going to make a serious run for a national championship. Because at this point in the season, I don't think most programs that factor themselves into serious playoff contenders think they can just bring a guy in right now after spring ball at quarterback.
Well, there's also, yeah, exactly. Like, you better play in a similar system. How quickly can you get up to speed on all of that? It does speak to a little bit, though, like what happens with what's happening right now in the sport in regard to a lot of times you're looking for perception wins as much as you're looking for on-the-field wins. And I think of Carson Beck at Miami. Carson Beck had surgery on his throwing arm, right? We all saw him get hurt. And Miami gave him $4.3 million to play football for them next year. And there was times he was really good at Georgia. Last year he was not really good at Georgia. And he's coming off an injury. But Miami needed a win. They needed a quarterback. And so that was the rate that he cost them, was that. So this portal's going to open in 2 days. The last year in this portal, it was very quiet. There was not a lot there. But I do think the combination of this house settlement inching closer to finality and maybe the belief around college athletics that this is the last time where you can get a big bite at the apple in terms of NIL will lead to some surprises in it. From the Ohio State perspective, I don't think you'll have any surprises. My hunch is that they've been pretty buttoned up throughout the offseason and leading into spring ball. So I don't think you'll see any surprises there. I do think you'll see some Buckeyes in the portal. I'm sure that you will, because as Ryan said when we heard from him earlier in the show, like they're going to have frank conversations with everybody on the roster. And I do think they will look to add to their roster, and I think it'll be the money positions. I think it'll be defensive tackle. I think they'll try and add if somebody pops in there. I could see them trying, maybe even adding to the room, although I liked what I saw in the burst from Bo Jackson in the spring game. I thought Donaldson ran hard, so I think those guys all look pretty good, but you might want to add something there. And then you're going to be, I think you can kind of clarify it as like the Julian Sands spot. When somebody who's just too good to pass up pops in, you have to investigate those things. I don't think Ohio State will be held over the barrel by anybody, but I do think they'll investigate. If talent hits the portal, you have to investigate it.
I think the one spot, Bo, that I would like them to add at just to get a little more depth is the safety position, because we know what Caleb Downs is. Yeah. Jalen McClain sure looks pretty good. Malik Hartford had a little bit of a rough spring game, but he's been in games before. We've seen him. He can hold his own. And it sure seems like Fahim Delane has a bright future at Ohio State. But maybe adding just another piece there, a guy that we know if you get in trouble, you need someone to throw in there, you could do that. I think that's a spot that I think they could add some depth to.
I'm pretty sure Ohio State got out of the spring game healthy.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
And so I think they definitely, you feel great about that, but you do have the understanding that with a longer college football season, you're going to need at every position almost depth, but depth that's played a lot of college football. And back to the point about just inserting a starting quarterback after spring just feels like not the best plan. You got to insert guys that, you can give some time in fall camp. You bring in portal persons that won't be looking to start, but that will looking to be plug and play after you give them fall camp, or at least confidence that if you need to plug them and play them, they'll provide at a high level.
Let me ask you guys a question. If we were to poll our audience and say, whose side are you on? Nico's or Tennessee's? What's your hunch on the percentages that shakes out?
84% Nico. 84% Tennessee, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be heavy in favor of Tennessee.
And why do we think that is?
I think it's just because what we're used to, right?
I think there's some of that, yeah.
We're used to that this is the way it's always been. Like, you go to a school, you commit to a school, you go there because you love it and you want to play there, and that's the only thing you want to do, and you continue to fight with your teammates.
Because, yeah, that's the really clean, nice way to put it. The other part of it is for the folks who attended college and did all those things, they look at athletes and say, God, I would have done anything to do that. I would have done anything. Like, he's getting to play college football at Tennessee. He's the starting quarterback at Tennessee. Isn't that enough? Isn't $2 million enough? Isn't this enough? Right? We don't ever look at it from the perspective of Tennessee is got money coming in hand over fist with their operation. And we don't ever look at it from the terms of like Heupel, because Heupel could leave anytime he wants with no penalty. He leave anytime he wants. He's going to get every cent of his contract. So we don't ever look at it at that perspective. We look at it from the perspective of the player is acting greedy. And in this instance, he is, but it's also the way that the game is set up. This is the game that the adults in the room set up, and he's trying to maximize his value. That's what's happening. And I do think it's an inflection point for the sport. And I do think if he were better, this never would have happened. Ever. If his last name were Manning, this never would have happened either. This is a specific situation. And I do think it's a cautionary tale for a lot in the sport. We'll get Austin Ward's perspective on this, but primarily on the spring game at Ohio State. He joins in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Bets are us when dreams don't get in. Bets are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
Bets are us when dreams don't get in. Bets are us.
I can't sleep.
What is it now?
It's the company. It's chaos.
What's chaos now?
The numbers, the expenses, the books. What if we get audited?
No one's going to audit you at 3 a.m. Go to sleep.
I can't sleep.
You could if you used Ramp.
Who said that?
I don't care because they're right. Go to sleep and sign up for Ramp in the morning, Jerry.
Ramp is the corporate card that handles all your tedious financial operations automatically, integrates directly with your ERP, and gives you complete control over every transaction. Ramp gives you everything you need for bulletproof books and a better night's sleep.
Wow, that is exactly what my company needs.
Yes, and exactly what I also need. Go to sleep, Jerry.
Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Legend has it, underneath the NJM insurance offices lies a mysterious room of long-forgotten, moldy mascot memorabilia. Often pitched by ad agencies, always rejected by NJM. Is it real? We may never know. But what is real is NJM's dedication to doing what's right for their customers. Astoundingly, they're proud to put policyholders first. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Learn more at njm.com.
Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
He knows everything about the Buckeyes. He's been offered tens of dollars by a certain team to spill his secrets. He's told that certain team to go to hell.
Damn you all to hell!
He's Austin Ward.
Indeed, he is, and he joins on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. All right, so last Friday I said I'm going to try my best not to overreact to anything I see in the spring game because it's just one game. And then in the first hour of the show today, my friend, I said Julian Sand is Bryce Young. So I don't know. That's what he looks like to me. That's what the release looks like to me. It's one game, I get it, but God, he looked great.
He had an awesome day on Saturday, Bo, and I think that, I mean, you're not the only one that really needed to see that. And when we were talking at this time last Monday, it was on the heels of a Student Appreciation Day scrimmage where he had a rough day. He was taking some turnover laps, and, last weekend as a whole, it's one of my favorite weekends of the year, not just the spring game is the capper. You have the coaches clinic on Thursday night and a lot of opportunities to be around the staff and in some maybe less pressurized situation where they're really comfortable and chatting, and then a practice on Friday morning as well in the Horseshoe. And Julian Sand had some ball security issues in that one and a couple more turnover laps. So it was another day where I left on Friday and I wrote and talked on Friday night on the Buckeye Show about, Lincoln Keenholz, at least if we were talking about the public open practice sessions, had the edge in the two of those in a row. Now, the other part of that is when we talked on Monday, I said, well, let's take this one day at a time, one practice at a time, compare guys to themselves. Julian Sand made a dramatic jump on Saturday based on what we had seen the two previous days. And the 40,000 folks in the Horseshoe, the people watching on BTN, and the coaching staff, I think that's the version that everyone expected to see. The accuracy was there. We've talked about the quick release, the decision-making. Everything was on point on Saturday. And that's, again, we're going to overreact to the things that we see. We saw, parts or all of 5 practices out of 15. But that was undoubtedly the best that Julian Sand practiced in any of the 5 that I got to witness. And that is going to be reassuring because Lincoln Keenholz also showed progress throughout spring. And if both of these guys are now in a position where we've said it may be a legitimate competition or closer than we thought it might have been, but then if Julian Sand is accepting that challenge and maybe the push and then elevating his game, that's exactly what Ryan Day needed to see heading into the next couple months.
I had Ryan on Thursday, buddy, and I asked him what I was curious about is not what the quarterbacks are now, but what he identified in all 3 of them that got him to offer them and get them on campus. And the reason I asked the question is because they couldn't be more different in terms of their athletic profiles, in terms of their upbringing, and yet they're all here. So there are traits that kind of run through all 3 of them. What do you think he wants the quarterback for Ohio State to be in 2025? What does he want him to do?
I think you'd like to take bits of all 3 of them. And I know that that's not a realistic outcome. The way that's constructed, we've always had these conversations about Ryan Day and extraordinary traits. And I think that with what Ohio State has in terms of what I think is going to be a very good offensive line and all the pieces being there, in terms of the skill position players and just an absurd collection of wide receivers and a backfield that I think has definitely been constructed in a way that should have no concerns. You can tailor the offense based on whatever extraordinary trait you most want to use. And I'm not saying that as a cop-out, but I think if Julian Sand's accuracy and processing and the quick release are what you think is best, well, guess what? You can really capitalize on that when you have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis and Mylan Graham and Max Clare and Will Kazmarek and on down the line. If you think that you need to run the quarterback more, then Lincoln Keenholz can absolutely do that for you. If it comes to a situation, again, I think Tavian St. Clair is on a different track here, but at least in terms of the physicality, and you look at those 3 and which one looks like they're the most physically ready to go out there and take the kind of beating that might be required for a national championship quarterback, then Tavian would have that as well. So I don't know that I could sit there and answer it with just one thing, because I think that all 3 of them will provide something that Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, Tyler Bowen, Keenan Bailey, Carlos Loughlin, all of those guys could work with. So it sounds like a cop-out, but I think I'm certainly coming at it from a point that any one of them would have a skill set that would allow Ohio State to run the offense they want.
Yeah. It's a choice, though. It's definitely going to be a choice in terms because they're not the same, and the offense would be designed differently depending on which way you kind of go with. I think I don't know if Ohio State's ever had a quarterback here. I don't know. Maybe Jermaine was like this, but I don't remember one in my time here that played it the way that had. I guess CJ a little bit, but Julian's a little smaller in stature, and I think Julian's release is even quicker. That's we just haven't had one like him. Lincoln, we've had guys like him, and he's an unbelievable athlete and has come a long ways. We've had some that have looked like that, but we have not had them quite like saying. So we'll see how this all shakes out. Obviously, they don't want them all. What else stood out to you non-quarterback wise in terms of, look, it's one practice. The tone was there. I mean, he threw 60 passes. Like, he wanted to see these guys sling it, and they did.
Yeah, I don't want every Monday to be Mylan Graham Monday when I'm on here, but man, that guy
he looked great.
Is really he is really good, and he did the same thing on Friday as well, by the way. So it was a full weekend of him making contested catches and strong, catch point and all that stuff. So I've covered that ground. I thought Logan George, the previous 4 practices that we'd seen, I was like, I'm not sure. I understand that he was productive at that level. What's the transition going to be like? And we've gone through this, and generally it's more like, a year ago, it's Will Kazmarek, and midway through, you flip the switch, and it's transitioning from the MAC level to a national championship contender. And I think the jump is bigger. We don't see this a ton where Ohio State is involved with guys, jumping up from Idaho State all the way to the Ohio State level.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, it wasn't a knock on him. I think physically you look at him and say, what? There's some Caden Curry stuff right there. He can do maybe some of the run-stopping things that JT Tuimoloau had done, but he's not going to fit the exact same height, weight, strength profile as either one of those guys maybe. But it just was like, okay, well, they got him, and they needed to bolster the depth. But Saturday, I think he showed some more things. Ryan Day was talking about the heavy hands afterwards, and I think that showed up in terms of motor and work ethic and winter workouts and all that stuff. All of it was across the board positive for him. It was just like he hadn't really had any of those moments in the open practices previously where that flashed. And I think that's a big deal that he did on Saturday, because so much of the conversation has been, well, we know that they are going to be involved looking for a defensive tackle in the portal. And I thought there was maybe a possibility that they would have to do that at defensive end as well, because you have Kenyatta and Caden Curry, and what C.J. Hicks is starting to provide there. But it's like, well, I don't know. The numbers are still not ideal. I think that might alleviate some of the concern there. So that's significant heading into the opening on Wednesday. And then I think these running backs are really good. I touched on that earlier. I know we had a conversation early on in camp. It's like, do they need help there? And I think they've answered that question, maybe Bo Jackson more specifically.
He looked great. I mean, yeah, he's got a burst. He looked great. They seem fine there. We'll see. I mean, the portal opens in 2 days. What type of shock waves did the Nico Iamaleava situation send through the spring game on Saturday?
It really started on Thursday, to be honest with you. People were expecting that to happen, and like Ohio State was not unaware of it. And it wasn't that they felt like they needed to be involved, wanted to be involved, but like you have to be aware of it. And because, as we mentioned, like if we're just talking about the open portions of practice, it wasn't like this was a finalized done deal. Now, I think dating back to December and January, Nico and that family had been reaching out to schools at that point. I don't think Ohio State had interest then, and I didn't think they had great interest on that Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but certainly not by Saturday afternoon. I think that they, more so than anything, just the realization of what this is like and preparing that, like, how would you handle this if the quarterback comes or anybody comes on Wednesday and like, we're going to renegotiate and holding out from a practice was just something that we've never seen before at this level. It did send, maybe shockwaves are not the right word, because I think that there had been enough conversation over the last couple of months that, Mark Pantoni seems to know everything that is going on across college football at all times. So I don't think that they were unaware of that, but it's, okay, well, let's have this conversation. What would happen if this becomes a topic in the Woody, and I do think that they've been really proactive about that. And I mentioned, some of this is being like 12-month contracts instead of 4 for Ohio State. They want to make sure that their guys are in a situation where they're comfortable, that they don't have to be constantly renegotiating, that they're not put in a position like Tennessee finds itself in now. To be honest with you, it feels like a thing that almost only Tennessee could be involved with based on my previous experience there. But it didn't change the picture much, but it does become something that you just have to address within your program. And I think, Ohio State did that. They were comfortable with their roster and didn't feel like they were going to need to pay much more attention to what was going on in Knoxville beyond that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It reminded me of like Underwood at Michigan, buddy. Like when you need a win in recruiting and you need it for a young coach, sometimes your principles go out the wayside because you want some momentum. Jimbo did this at Texas A&M, but Ohio State doesn't have to do that because they don't have to concede on the type of player they want to recruit. Not to say kids aren't trying to get everything that they can from them, but they're not going to be in the same fights as some of these other places are because they're, you're going over big financially because you need a perception win for your program.
Yep, and that's, the benefit for the way Ohio State has handled business and handled its roster and handled its communication and the way that it is upgraded with house settlement money and contracts and the collectives. I mean, I think they've really done a good job of that. And they were, when it started, I think there were understandable and justifiable criticisms of it, but they have always taken a more patient approach. And once it became clear that what the parameters were going to be and how to operate, I think they've done a much better job of navigating these waters than anybody else. And I think you can look, when it comes to Nico specifically, they wouldn't have had to turn over many rocks to have this conversation. They know what their quarterback roster looks like, and they also had to just be prepared to play him in December. And I can tell you for certain, Ohio State was not intimidated by Nico's arm talent, and they're more concerned about his ability to beat them through the air. So I'm not trying to pick or take shots, but they were also uniquely positioned and prepared to have this conversation. And I think in a normal spot, you'd see a lot of the reporters on Thursday, Friday say, well, this has been a rough spring. Ohio State might be a landing spot. And I think across the board, everybody recognized that was not going to be the case. And Ohio State can move forward here. And it does certainly help what we talked about to start the segment, that Julian Sain played as well as he did on Saturday, and Lincoln gained momentum as the scrimmage went on. And that really, I think, put a bow on that, all of it for Ohio State.
You're the best, buddy. Thanks for your time. We'll do it again next week.
Appreciate you both. See ya.
All right, there he goes. Austin Ward joining on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We had a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Fred's right here on the Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Bring more fresh to Easter with great deals at Meijer. Savory Meijer's Spiral Sliced Half Ham is 79 cents a pound with M-Perks Limit 1. Discount automatically applied once you enter your M-Perks ID. Buy one, get one free, pineapples or cantaloupe, mix or match. And a dozen Aunt Millie's rolls are just $2.99. Decorate your home and table with Easter decor. And make Easter a good deal sweeter for your little peeps with toys, candy, and more. Hop into Meijer, where Easter is a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
The Roofing Guys are your locally owned, trusted family business right here in Central Ohio. They've been hammering quality and service through the roof for over 25 years, offering professional services in roofing, siding, gutters, and more. Contact them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Save big money at Menards and find everything you need for your kitchen update. Transform everyday spaces into gathering places with custom craft countertops from Menards. Countertops are the center of the home, and we offer stylish options with durability that will last for years to come. Check out our kitchen showrooms in-store or visit Menards.com and get a free design estimate today. Plus, view our weekly flyer for many other great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
He shoots, he scores!
No matter your sport, it's a great time of year to be a fan. But the fun stops when you or a loved one can't control your gambling. At Maryhaven, we're here to help. Whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, or mental health, you don't have to go it alone. With in-person, virtual, and group options, Maryhaven meets you where you are. always judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today. That's maryhaven.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
Sometimes you don't realize something was bothering you
until it's gone.
That's how you're going to feel
after we work our magic at your house.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
The Fan app is about to become your new best friend. Your one-stop shop for all your favorite fan shows. ESPN Columbus and BetQL. Live or on demand. Listen on your schedule. Download the 97.1 The Fan app today. It's free. Do it.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks, and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
1-877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
The Fan Poll is brought to you by Caster Connection. Visit CasterConnection.com to shop online or to work with our Caster Solution Specialists.
Drink recommendations, movie reviews, sports discussion, or whatever the hell Reeser does. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Monday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
Andrew Marchand of The Athletic reported over the weekend that Fox made an all-out effort to recruit Reese Davis from ESPN to anchor its big noon kickoff pregame. Davis opted to remain at the worldwide leader for a 7-year deal worth tens of millions of dollars, reportedly. Davis celebrated his 30-year anniversary at ESPN last month. He's 59 years old, and he took over for Chris Fowler as the host of College Game Day back in 2015. Marchand also reports that Davis accepted less money to remain at ESPN. In exchange for the guarantee, he'll be at the head of the network's college football playoff coverage through 2032. In addition to more money and the opportunity to lead Big Noon Kickoff, Fox had offered Davis the chance to lead its coverage of the 2026 World Cup, which is going to take place in North America, and do some play-by-play for college hoops. Marchand also reported CBS approached Dan Orlovsky to be its top college football analyst to replace the outgoing Gary Danielson. Charles Davis is going to be taking that role. Thing or not a thing?
There's like 60 things here.
Yeah.
Number one, I guess I did not realize that Reese Davis is almost 10 years in on College Game Day. To me, it felt like Fowler just recently gave that gig up, but it's been almost a decade for Reese Davis on Game Day, which is pretty wild. The next thing that's a thing is I wouldn't want to be Rob Stone, because he's currently the guy who hosts Big Noon Kick, and he's the guy who hosts their World Cup, and basically his job is being offered to other people while he's still doing it. So that would be a little bit alarming to me if I were Rob Stone. I think Reese Davis made a very smart decision here. This is one of those decisions where, while the money might not have been what it would be on the other side, he's choosing to be essentially one of the voices and faces of college football through the 2032 season. That, and he's not like he's not going to be hurting for money. He's been being compensated very richly for this. And he's really good. And it makes sense that he's doing all of those things. The other thing that's interesting to me is Orlovsky turning down CBS's top college football analyst gig. If he did, or if maybe he was asking for too much, feels like a miss for Orlovsky. Like, would you rather be on, like, Get Up every morning arguing or with Stephen A. or with Mike Greenberg, or, like, all you got to do is be the CBS lead analyst on college football? That feels like a great gig. If the money's the same, I'd rather do the once a week in football season than all this.
So I feel like, real quick with the Orlovsky thing, he's going to take some time away, right? He wanted to take away some time away from broadcasting.
He's on Stephen A's show this morning.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I thought he was had said that he was going to be stepping away for a while and not doing things. That is interesting on his side of things. I think it's funny, and I know it's not apples to apples, but we're talking about Nico today leaving his team, wanting more money, and then we're hearing this with Reese Davis that he is staying for less money. Now, I know, again, like I said, they're not the same thing, but Reese Davis is very smart in this, Bo. We've talked about this before. If it's not on ESPN, it kind of gets forgotten in the sports world a little bit, and not a lot of people are going to Fox to find you. I don't think it's worked for Cowherd very well. Obviously, he got paid a lot. I don't think it's worked for Skip Bayless very well as far as notoriety. Even Mike Tirico, I don't think it's worked very well for him leaving. I know he wanted to do Olympics, and that was the main reason he left and went to NBC. But even him, I feel like his star is not like it used to be with ESPN. By the way, he has a great radio call of the Masters and Rory this weekend. It's fantastic. But yeah, smart move, smart thing by Reese Davis to stay.
I think the Cowherd Bayless decisions were, God, I want to live in Southern California and have a bunch of money. So,
and
that's their trade-off.
The money was ridiculous.
I think Tirico is probably pretty happy. He's hosting the number one rated sports entity on the planet in Sunday Night Football. He's the play-by-play voice of that, and he's the face of the Olympics. So I think he probably wins regardless. The other two won financially, but you start to go in obscurity, and I think Reese kind of threaded the needle on this. He's enriched himself personally with the contract. It's nice to have other people want you because you can do that. But he's also smart enough to say, like, man, I really want to make sure that I am the face. I think he's got a historical perspective. And I think he said, I'm going to be the face of college football, or one of them, along with Herbie and Fowler for the next decade.
Over the weekend, ESPN was just one of many outlets to report that Saints quarterback Derek Carr's got a shoulder injury that could put his status for 2025 in jeopardy. The Saints are scheduled to begin their offseason training program today under new head coach Kellen Moore. Carr hasn't played since he broke several bones in his non-throwing hand back in Week 14 against the Giants. He missed 7 games total in 2024 due to oblique and hand injuries. The Saints started Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener in his place. New Orleans has the 9th overall pick in the draft that starts next Thursday? Thing or not a thing.
Well, hey, guys, remember last week when we said that Shedeur Sanders' odds to be drafted went to New Orleans? I wonder if folks in the desert knew.
Had to have, because this screams that.
Right? First thing I thought of. We were talking about that last week. Wait, New Orleans is the favorite to land Shedeur Sanders at 9? What? What's going on? Oh. Then you get this story over the weekend. You go, oh, okay, that adds up.
I wonder if this makes the Aaron Rodgers situation in bidding war go up a little bit.
Do you think it's about money for him, or do you think it's about fit? Where would you rather be? Would you rather quarterback New Orleans or Pittsburgh?
Well, if you're it depends on what you're looking at here. Like, obviously, I think your chances of winning right now are probably a little better with Pittsburgh, but I feel like a quarterback life is a lot better inside of a dome for your home games.
I don't know. You got to win like 9 games to be successful in New Orleans. Pittsburgh, you got to win like 12 or 13 just because of how tough each division, like the respective divisions are.
Just lay it out this way. Easier to win, New Orleans. Weapons, maybe slightly Pittsburgh, but it's not like New Orleans doesn't have weapons. They have weapons. Dome versus outside in the elements. Dome. Hallucinogens. New Orleans. That's a big box to check for Rodgers. All of a sudden, you tell me you can't see him with some witch doctor on the outskirts of Bourbon Street?
An old voodoo.
In advance?
Voodoo. With a shaman.
Come on.
I think Aaron Rodgers has a shaman.
Of course. There's a shaman every half block in New Orleans. You want a shaman? I'll get you one by 2 o'clock. No, he'd thrive in New Orleans. It's a great observation of you, Beg. I think it's in play. Like, they should call him. I think that'd be a fit. Dome, New Orleans, all of it. Yeah, easier division.
And you could still draft Shador.
Yeah, you have to deal with Burrow and Lamar all the time. Yeah. No, that I think could throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in the Steelers' plans. We'll blitz the weekend. It was a wild weekend in sports, an awesome weekend in sports. We'll get to it coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice is currently bathing himself in creamy jalapeno dip. And I've officially run out of ways to tease this show. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. Our low prices add up to big savings, plus over $600 in digital coupons each week, and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, Kroger brand bone-in hickory smoked spiral ham is only 79 cents a pound with your card, an additional $25 purchase. Limit 2. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Before you start your day, UDF has already started making your breakfast right in our bakery. We've got buttery, flaky croissants baked before the crack of dawn. We're making fluffy buttermilk biscuits from scratch by the time the sun starts to think about rising. And before you hit your first alarm, we've piled our biscuits and croissants high with sausage, egg, and cheese right in store. So come in and grab a fresh one and let us make you a morning person. Fresh baked breakfast sandwiches from United Dairy Farmers. UDF, mornings made for you.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like early pay, moving up payday so you could get your money faster, up to 2 days faster. And there's no cost. It's your money, right? So stop playing the waiting game. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Hey friends, Austin Ward here. Free for life. Just by saying that, you already know I'm referring to Awaken 180. They're the only company providing it. Fast, proven weight loss, and then keep it off thanks to free support for life. Awaken180weightloss.com.
So we bought an actual shopping mall and put one of the largest Honda dealerships in the world inside of it. Hi, it's Steve Lindsay with Lindsay Honda. So it's big. We house about 150 to 200 cars indoors, lit, all unlocked, ready for you to be able to view and see. A fully tempered climate. Doesn't matter if it's raining outside, 10 below zero, super hot. There's real trees inside, and it's just a casual environment. And if you haven't seen it, it's really a cool story, not about its opulence. It's just a cool story to see what was a dilapidated old mall being reinvigorated into a pillar in the community that everybody benefits from.
This month at Lindsay Honda, choose a 2025 Honda Ridgeline RTL, Honda HR-V or CR-V, and pay just $299 a month at our famous Lindsay Honda Trade-A-Thon. We'll trade for anything and give you $1,000 more for your vehicle all month long. Visit lindsayhonda.com for details.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone for Window Nation. April's a great time to spruce up around your house, like getting rid of those old, ugly, drafty, hard-to-open windows and starting fresh. Especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. There's no limit to how much you could save, and if you buy a house full of windows, they'll include a free entry door too. Plus, with 0% financing, 0 down, and no monthly payments, you could get new windows and pay nothing until 2027. How do they do it? Well, Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then they pass the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows you can buy at a fraction of the price of those other brands. Just imagine what you could do with all that extra money. Hurry, the sale ends soon, so don't miss your chance to take advantage of the Buy 4, Get 4 free and pay nothing until 2027. Schedule your estimate right now at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. One more time, that's Buy 4, Get 4 free from Window Nation, 866-90NATION or windownation.com.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching.
Does this have peanuts?
To waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The stat guys give the Columbus Blue Jackets a 3.6% chance to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. With 2 games remaining, Montreal leads Columbus by 3 points for the second wildcard spot in the East. Canadiens will play the Blackhawks on Monday. A win there eliminates the Jackets, but a loss by Montreal keeps the door open for Columbus, who play in Philadelphia tomorrow night against the Flyers at 7 o'clock. Jackets are riding a 4-game win streak after beating the Capitals twice over the weekend. In golf yesterday, Rory McIlroy beat Justin Rose in a one-hole playoff to win the 89th Masters. McIlroy becomes just the 6th golfer to complete the career Grand Slam. And in baseball, the Guardians and Reds have Monday off. Cleveland's at Baltimore on Tuesday, while Cincinnati hosts the Seattle Mariners. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union. Enjoy rates as low as 9.90% APR plus a special rate on balance transfers with a Visa Platinum credit card from BMI FCU.
The friends are the guests and listeners. Reeser and Baker just work here.
Back to work. Back to work. Everybody, work, 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 work.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, final hour on a Monday edition. Tyvis Powell going to join us in about 28 minutes from now from his view of the spring game, which was field level. Time now to Blitz the Weekend. Hit it, fellas.
Bishop and Friends present a Weekend Sports Blitz.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
All right, Bake, I believe I had that. What did you have?
So I had that the CBJ would still be in the playoff race today. I think I said that it was going to come down to that last game against the Islanders. Unfortunately, it may come to an end tonight. I was really bummed when Montreal went to overtime with Toronto the other night. It was actually 0-0. Nobody could get a goal in regulation, and Toronto ends up winning it in overtime. But I was hoping that they did not do that, because then they could have beat the Blackhawks tonight, lost to Carolina, and if the Blue Jackets take care of business, win in regulation, that they would have had the tiebreaker. Now, if Montreal gets a win tonight, it's over for the Jackets. If they lose in overtime one of these last 2 games, though, the Jackets could still be alive. But I'm just preparing myself to get my heart broke at the very end.
At least though they walked you up to it, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
You were mathematically in it through the middle of April.
And we thought it was going to be over by Thanksgiving. So
yeah.
I had that you've still got to wait till at least Memorial Day weekend before you know who's really good in baseball. I think we know teams that are going to be there in October, but everybody feels like they're just sitting around with 9-10 wins on the season. That includes the Cleveland Guardians at 8-7. Even the Dodgers, after starting out on a torrid pace, I should say, or 11-6 on the year. So while baseball's kind of fun right now, it just takes a backseat to everything else this weekend, and you don't really get a sense on who's going to do what until after, I'd say, the first chair's out on Zollinger Road.
Yeah, it's usually when it starts to happen. I believe I had that after talking to Ryan Day on Thursday, that spring game mattered. He wanted a big crowd. He wanted to see those quarterbacks in a pressure cooker. Guys, he threw it 61 times. He wanted to see him sling it, and they kept slinging it and slinging it and slinging it. It was as entertaining a spring game as I can recall. I think it really mattered to him to see how they performed in that, and I think they coached it that way to see which one of those kids would shine. And so I think that was one of those things you kind of feel as we were leading into it last week, that it was a spring game of consequence, and it felt like it was. I did not have that. What did you not have, Bake?
I think we all know I did not have Rory winning the Masters, even heading in to yesterday's final round when he had, what was it, a 3 or a 2-shot lead over Bryson DeChambeau. I thought there was no way. I've just seen a track record with Rory where in the majors, somehow he loses it. And as much as he tried yesterday, he still hit enough good golf shots to go ahead and win that thing, cementing his legacy now as one of the best ever. I'm going to have to eat some crow on this. I have been all morning, and that's okay. I will, the way it played out. But congratulations to Rory McIlroy.
I did not have how much my girlfriend would enjoy listening to Anthony Munoz and Dick Vermeil tell stories at the Blue Jackets NFL Hall of Fame event that they put on before the Jackets beat the Washington Capitals. So as soon as I found out Baker was going to be the moderator for it, and he absolutely crushed it, I wanted to go just to obviously see the Blue Jackets before the end of the season. But I wanted to go and support Baker. And I didn't know if my girlfriend was going to enjoy it at all because she doesn't know who Anthony Munoz is. She doesn't know who Dick Vermeil is. She's not the biggest sports fan in the world. I don't think she'd watched a full football game before she started to date me. But we found ourselves 20 minutes into Baker's conversation with Munoz, and then Vermeil shows up a little later into it, how enthralled we were by both of those guys telling stories. And she, said something to me afterwards. She's like, I could have sat there for another hour and listened to those guys talk. Like it shows not only how good the moderator was, but how good the two guests were at just telling stories about life. Was a really cool experience.
You get that gold jacket and you start to get used to telling stories because you have to do those things a lot, and they get very good at it. And they really do. I did not have Rory winning. I rooted for him all weekend. I've rooted for him for years. I find him incredibly likable. I find him incredibly human. I think the heartbreak that he's had is just visceral. And I found myself almost in tears when he finally won it. I just can't imagine going through what he went through. Guys, he won the Masters with 4 double bogeys. And no one's ever done that. I mean, it's just the missed putts that he had, to have the mental fortitude to hit the second shot he hit on 18. I can't even wrap my head around what that takes. I really can't. It was such a riveting thing to watch. I could not take my eyes off it. None of us could. Everybody sat there, no phones, no second screen, and just watched, whole family. Really, the whole entire back nine is the way that it all played out. Player who impressed, Bake?
Gosh, there are so many you could go with this weekend, but for me, it is Jet Greaves. What this guy did this weekend for the Columbus Blue Jackets, playing 4 games in 5 days, driving up 71 on Thursday, or driving down 71 on Thursday to get here from Cleveland to play in that game against Buffalo. Jet Greaves was 3-0 for the Jackets this past weekend, a 1 goals against average, a 9.67 save percentage. One of those games was a shutout. Man, Jet Greaves really helped keep the Jackets' playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, it's Jet. For me, it's Adam Fantilli. With about 50 seconds left to go in the first period of the Jackets, what became a 7-0 win over the Capitals. He drives Ryan Leonard into the Earth's core and then turns around and puts the Jackets up 3-0. Like, Adam Fantilli is a true A1. Like, even Sean McDonough on the call was talking about how across the league, people are telling their players, you be careful around this Adam Fantilli character. And that is somebody, the alpha has never been the ass kicker on this Blue Jackets team until now.
Yeah, just a kid, too. Much more good to come.
The Spitting Chicklets guys were loving that from Adam Fantilli.
Yeah, there's a lot to love. I'm going to go Justin Rose here. The putt on 18 in his the final hole of his round before he went to the playoff is an all-time putt to hit it. The grace with which he showed at the end for Rory, and then to handle the post-round interview after that, I can't imagine, like, going to the range by yourself, all of those things. It was a crazy day. I had a buddy of mine who was down there that said Bryson DeChambeau was on the range at 2:22 for a 2:30 tee time. Think about that. he was still on the range, pounding balls 8 minutes before he's in tee-off in his final round. And it looked like he was fighting his swing the whole day. But Rose was very incredible with what he did down the stretch in the putt on 18. Player disappointed, Bake.
Real quick on your Justin Rose, if you have not seen his tweet, congratulating Rory McIlroy, very cool and classy as well. Player that disappointed for me was Bryson DeChambeau. I thought for sure he was going to win the green jacket yesterday. Heading into yesterday's round, he was the only player that had not had a round in the 70s yet. Maybe that was foreshadowing things to come, but he shoots a 75, just couldn't get it. He was, like you said, Bo, he was fighting his swing all day. He talked about it afterwards. He just didn't have it, and I really thought Bryson was going to win it all yesterday.
Yeah, and he's too disappointed for me, but I was impressed overall with Bryson for the weekend because it was very much a Happy Gilmore vibe to him, even with the goofy live golf attire he was wearing. Like, he was high-fiving with everybody. He was interacting with the crowd, and he was really great at the end of his round with CBS, and then even in subsequent interviews. Just it's a gracious way to lose the way that Bryson lost that game or lost that match in the final round Sunday. But I found myself the same way Sunday, like going into it with him and Rory at both 11 under. I'm like, let's go Bryson.
Yeah,
let's go Bryson.
Yeah,
he's weird.
It. No, he's flipped it. He's doing all the right things. He had a great post today about Rory too. So he's become that was great for golf. It was that everything that went in it was great. This is real. So we were Beamsy was up in Cleveland playing in the Drew Joyce Classic, which is a big AAU tournament up there. $50 a person to get in. Yeah, like you're watching LeBron, but to watch 11-year-olds. There were 320 teams there, so huge teams. So we're playing in the semifinal, and this kid, no names please, this kid from the other team crosses over one of our kids and hits a 3. And then he starts yelling at our kid who is guarding him, too small, like that, right? Meantime, the player's mom is yelling, that's my mother effer right there. Like yelling. This is all happening. 11-year-old basketball, okay? We were up 66-38 while this is going on.
Oh my gosh.
And that, my friends, is AAU basketball at its worst. That's it.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It's ridiculous.
$50?
Oh, $12 a day to park, too. All right, Kilmer, honorary coach of the week. Who you got, Bake?
To me, it is our old friend Tito, Terry Francona. The Reds, a little tough start to the season this year, and still the bats aren't all the way there. I think they're batting 200 as a team so far on the season, but they sweep the Pirates. They've won 6 of their last 8 games. They're back to 500, and I feel like that's all the Tito effect.
I got Dean Evison for the job that he's done recently with this Blue Jacket squad, but also Josh Heupel for telling Nico Iamaleava to go fly a kite.
Yeah, all of those are good ones. I'm going to go Jim Nance. He's not actually a coach, but I thought his guidance, Immelman was great too, but Nance is kind of the coach of the CBS coverage. I thought he was just perfect, kind of describing everything that he was seeing in terms of Rory's highs and lows, but most especially what he did after that putt dropped and he made that initial statement to lay out. I mean, to not say anything and to just listen and let everyone watch and absorb it. You couldn't take your eyes off of it. And sometimes it's an example for young broadcasters, young people who want to be content creators. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes saying nothing is the win. All right, coming up next. Ryan Day on Spring Game. What needs to happen between now and Texas? What were impressions of Brian Hartline at the gears and the controls? We'll get to all of that coming up next. Tyvis Powell at 11:30. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most. Friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Attention kingdom-seeking business professionals, entrepreneurs, and investors in Columbus. Are you ready to experience a life-changing event that will elevate your faith, finances, and future in 2025? Then you won't want to miss this. Join us for Life Search, featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center for an extraordinary one-day event that will empower you to transform every area of your life through the power of faith. Prepare to be inspired by an incredible lineup of champions, including college football champions Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, three-time national champion head coach Urban Meyer, sportscaster Kirk Herbstreit, two-time national football champion Tim Tebow, and more. These champions have experienced firsthand how faith transforms lives, and they'll be joining Life Search to share their powerful stories and insights on how to integrate faith into your business, finances, and every aspect of your journey. Seats are selling fast to this unforgettable event, so don't wait. Head to lifesearch.com now to secure your tickets before they're gone. Life Search featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center. Don't miss out. Your transformation begins here. Visit lifesearch.com today.
It's Lindsay's one and only trade-a-thon.
We'll trade for anything. Plus, give you $1,000 more for your trade. Choose a 2025 Honda Ridgeline RTL or an all-wheel drive HR-V LX or a CR-V LX and pay just $299 a month. 3 models with one very low Lindsay price.
Trade up to the reliability of a new or certified Honda.
So lock in your price today. The one and only Lindsay Honda Trade-a-thon is back. See lindsayhonda.com for details.
Men over 40, struggling with low energy, not feeling like yourself? Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Get started today. Visit one of our conveniently located clinics, meet a medical provider, and get back to feeling your best. This April only, the consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you and is covered by most major insurance. Get treated at our centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. That's lowtcenter.com.
Master Grillers Unite. The grilling season never ends at Billiards Plus. Come see their best-in-class grills for yourself and check out Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family-owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Feeling unsure about preparing your roof for spring storms? Newman Roofing is here for you. For over 30 years, we've helped homeowners understand their roof's condition so they can make the best decision for their home. Stop worrying and call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit newmanroofing.com today. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
This promo is for anyone who likes baseball or America or Terry Francona's scooter. The Reds are on the Fan. Catch all 162 games here on the Fan and 1460 ESPN Columbus and the Fan's HD2. Your home for Reds baseball, the Fan.
Does heel pain make you hobble just getting out of bed in the morning? If heel pain is affecting your ability to exercise and meet your walking or running goals, relief is as close as your local podiatrist. Podiatric physicians are highly trained doctors who specialize in medical and surgical treatment of the foot and ankle. Ohio Foot and Ankle podiatric physicians are available across the state and are devoted to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
90% of students in Ohio and 95% of students with disabilities learn and grow in our public schools. Our lawmakers must keep their promise to our kids by using the Fair School Funding Plan's predictable, adequate funding formula in this budget so our students can get the great public education they deserve.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Mostly cloudy skies with some peaks of sunshine. Daytime highs soaring into the 70s. We have a chance of showers and thunderstorms late afternoon, early evening, some which could be strong to severe. For tonight, lows down into the 40s with a chance of showers. Otherwise, partly cloudy overnight. Tuesday, we'll see highs only in the 50s with a chance of showers and breezy winds. For the Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with your 10 weather impact forecast.
The only show where sports talk is eclipsed by food talk. Oh, nuts. Common Man and T-Bone.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan. The final season of Yellowstone might just be Bo's dad live on YouTube. What's the difference anyway? This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Buckeyes spring football in the books. They are in. Have they landed? It looks like they've landed in D.C. for the meeting with the president. So they will get. They'll have that happening there. I know Steph Odie's following that for us. So, boy, she did NHL over the weekend for us as well. She's everywhere. So she'll be there for that coverage all over your social media platform. So this puts an end to a very busy spring that will get they'll get like a day off. They'll be off Tuesday, and then it'll be back to portal.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to be off because they're going to be evaluating who to get out of the portal.
The old days, guys, like there was a time when spring football was done at Florida State, like you would have like the spring game, and then you would see Bobby Bowden like twice in the summer playing like celebrity golf tournaments, and that's it. Like he was off. In those days, they were off. You'd play a spring game, and then we'll see you in August. For these guys, there is no off. The summer has been wild, has now become a recruiting emphasis. The portal is on the 16th. There are no days off. They just are going to stack and stack and stack. So the spring game and spring practice is done, but still much work to be done, and that really never stops. One of the things that, as we listen to some more from Ryan Day post-spring game, Mylan Graham has been someone who has popped, and people have been talking about, Austin talked about him a lot. He was no doubt one of the stars of the spring game. Here is Coach Day on Mylan.
Huge. He's another guy who just needs to play football. His route running is excellent. His athleticism is excellent. His attention to detail is excellent. The biggest thing with Mylan has been just finishing the catches, which you saw him do some today. That's been his emphasis. Finish contested catches, catch it clean, and then put the ball away. He had the big run after the catch. That ball was loose. You could see it. So he's got to learn to tighten that up. But I think he has a bright future here. I think he's grown. He's gotten better. He's serious about his work. He knows what he has to work on, but he has all the tools it takes to be the next great one.
Yeah, he certainly does. They've got weapons, and more weapons. So and again, this will, I think, factor into how they decide on quarterback is what type of quarterback do you want to put these guys in position to succeed. Here is Ryan Day on Brian Hartline and his play calling in the spring game.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think even for him to do it for the first time out there was a good process for him. There's some things in there that we got to talk about, but overall, I think he had a good plan. You could tell that he had thought through some of the scenarios in his head because he had the calls ready to go. And then, you find yourself in situations where, you're thinking or watching the game as opposed to getting on to the next call. That's all part of the process. But, I thought he had a good rhythm today. I thought he had a good plan. Things moved pretty smoothly overall. Nothing's perfect. But I was not on the headset on purpose because I just didn't want that kind of distraction for him, and I thought he did a good job. But we'll keep growing, we'll keep learning from it, and then we also have the preseason scrimmages that we'll have here once we get to the preseason to continue to learn and try to get him in more and more situations calling it. But a big part of it is, we've talked about before, is the organization going into it. If you're organized going in, it's probably going to be well organized during the game.
Yeah, we talk about quarterback finishing school a lot here. Brian Hartline's at coordinator finishing school, not only being learning at the feet of Ryan Day all these years, but 1 year with Chip Kelly is kind of like a master class pick.
Bo, I know that we were wondering where he would be. And again, I have not sat down and watched the whole game start to finish. I've seen bits and pieces. One half he was on the field, one half he was up in the booth. Is that correct?
I only recall him in the booth. I guess I wasn't watching closely enough to know if to notice him on the field or not.
So
I watched it, and I remember him. I remember them taking shots of him in the booth.
I believe it was in the second half that he was definitely on the field, because I even remember the commentators talking about Brian Hartline is used to be down on the field. That's his element, so maybe he would be better down on the field. I don't know. I just thought I saw him in both places.
Could be. Yeah, I noticed they took the shot of him in the first half in the booth, and that's the last time I really registered with it in terms of where he was or not. Look, I think this was a massive spring game for a lot of reasons. And I think most of it was offensively. I think Ryan wanted to see Brian call a game, and I think he wanted to see these quarterbacks spin it all over the place. They threw it 61 times, guys. I mean, Sayan's the presumptive leader, and he threw it 25 times. At one point, I was like, haven't we seen enough from him? Like, I watched the whole first half, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to see 10 anymore. I'm good. We'll see him in August. But they kept running him out and kept him slinging it.
I mean, he had talked, we played the cut earlier about he wanted to be out there for 4 more hours.
Yeah.
Ryan dated. I'm like, well, if you do that, I think then you get half the team going in the transfer portal because it's just not sustainable at this point anymore. But, yeah, I think he's, while tongue-in-cheek with the 4 extra hours, I think he just wants to see more of these guys. And that showed out with if you look at the boxes, you look at the stats, he had him throwing more and more and more and more and more. And I think if you gave him the opportunity to have another spring game like this, he'd say, all right, let's see in July, Buckeye Nation, like, let's do this over again, because they're just every single thing matters so much because of what's coming on August 30th.
I think you're headed for a wild portal that's opening in 2 days now, because I think when you factor in what happened at Tennessee with the idea that I think a lot of these kids and the people that are representing them and their parents are saying, this is our last shot. We have to make as much money as we can, as quickly as we can before the settlement comes in. You get guardrails on this. So I think this portal is going to be wild in 2 days across the country. I don't think Nico Iamaleava is going to be the only big name out there. I think you could see more quarterbacks. I think you could see a lot of things out there from that perspective. And I think even once you're through the spring portal, guys, you have got to remember how many teams that are you would say are in the top going. If you do a preseason poll right now, I'll pull up last year's rankings for you. Here's the AP. This is 8. Let's go AP top 12 since 12 make the playoff. Here's new quarterbacks: Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Texas, Penn State's a returner, Georgia, Arizona State's a returner, Boise State, Tennessee now, Indiana, Ole Miss, SMU. That's 10 new quarterbacks in the top 12 of the country. The only two returning are Arizona State and Penn State. That's it. Everybody else got new quarterbacks. You have to look down. I mean, people are so high on Klubnik at Clemson. It's just because he's been there. He was good against Texas, but he's been there, so there's value in that. Illinois' got a returning quarterback. Carson Beck's at Miami. I don't know what to expect of that. South Carolina's got a guy coming back. I'm just looking at teams in the top 25. Like, it feels to me like 80% of the top 25 is starting over at quarterback. We don't have a whole lot of points of reference on that, fellas.
And I wonder, of those teams that we talked about, like, what are they doing this time next week? Or if you go and look at our lads, which does a great job of depth charting probably all 132 FBS programs, like, which of these guys are sitting there with a quarterback room that, like, we got to get a legitimate starter in this transfer portal window? And I mean, some of these schools, like, are they going to find somebody that says, oh, that's better than we've got right now, and we just did spring with what we've gotten? Well, whoops.
Yeah.
How many coaches are coming into work Monday going, whoops?
Yeah, and then if others are added to Nico Iamaleava, if there's other guys who are added like that, like, you think about a place like Colorado, like, do they just lost Shedeur? They got the big recruit out of Georgia, but, like, do they say, hey, man, this is known commodity, or at least semi-known, who's now available? And I think more will be available out here. It's going to be crazy.
And on your point, Bo, I would have to think there's probably a lot of people out there trying to get to Lincoln and or Julian and say, hey, guys,
yes,
we got a spot for you to play right now. You don't have to sit behind the other guy.
No. That's 100% happening. Get some perspective from field level from the spring game with our buddy Tyvis Powell. He joins us coming up in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
This spring, celebrate the sparkle that she brings to your life with something that sparkles right back. Whether it's for Mother's Day, an anniversary, or just because, Diamond Cellar has the perfect gift for the women who mean the world to you. Visit Diamond Cellar today on Selma Road and at Easton Town Center.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I always have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. It's luscious. I swear by two things: water and Weed Man. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will make sure your lawn is weed-free and looking gorgeous. Of course, they get rid of weeds, but they also do aeration, mosquito control, grub control, crabgrass prevention, and flea and tick control for your four-legged friends. For a free quote, give them a call, 614-733-3747, weedmanusa.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could dump all your problems on someone else's back? Well, when you wake up to a clogged drain or a plumbing issue, make that Mr. Rooter's problem.
Call 855-MISTERS today or MrRooter.com.
Call Mr. Rooter. He'll be there quick.
Paying rent can feel like throwing money away. And when you're spending so much, it can be hard to see yourself buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is helping you put your monthly rent towards home ownership with Rent Rewards. For the first time, save up to $5,000 off the cost of your first home just by paying rent. Only at Rocket Mortgage. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Distilled sports discussion served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
He's down on the field for the spring game on Saturday. He did a very nice job as well. Our good buddy Tyvis Powell joining us on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline right here at the Fan, 10 TV, and of course on the Big Ten Network sideline. So was Jeremiah Smith on his tiptoes, or like it looks like he could post you up pretty easy, buddy? All right, I think let's find a new connect for Tyvis. We had him, then we lost him. So the picture I'm making reference to, Reese, he tweeted out a picture of himself standing next to Jeremiah as he was interviewing him during the spring game, and Jeremiah looks to be, I'm sure it's the way the photograph was taken, it looks to be like he's 2 inches taller and 25 pounds heavier.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Probably accurate. No, I wouldn't say 25 pounds. He's in the gym more than me. Let's just say that. I looked at that picture today, Bo, and I really got down and started doing push-ups and sit-ups. I gotta give back. It's a shame. You watch him on Saturdays and see some of the stuff he does to these DBs, and I'm just like, okay, it can't be that bad. And then you see him physically, and I'm like, it makes sense. I see why he does what he does. I am 6'3", 250, and he's bigger than me. And these DBs is averaging, 6 feet maybe? Yeah. Hecky yeah. And so it was wonderful to just be next to him, talk to him, and, just be down on the field and see those guys.
Yeah, it was nuts. I didn't want to overreact to anything that I saw on Saturday because it's one game, but I think it really mattered for Ryan. I think that's why he called 61 passes. I think he wanted to see these guys throw it all over the place. Beyond that, though, I think Julian Sand looks a little like Bryce Young, buddy. I think he looks great. I think the ball comes out quick. I think the release is there. You were on field level. What did you make of it?
A little bit less.
All right, can we get the kid a landline? We got to get Tyvis a landline. What are we doing here? We got to step outside. What's he doing? He's done this a lot. Where is he? Is he up at the in-laws?
Sounds like he's at home.
Well, I hear the little ones running around, but usually he joins us from home all the time, and it's usually fine. But we have some major interference here. This is not what we're used to out of Tyvis.
No, it seems like his call keeps getting intercepted.
Yes.
Every time he's trying to make a point. I also wonder, the picture, there's cleats. So that could maybe give Jeremiah an inch or two.
I mean, it's possible Tyvis is wearing those, what are those running shoes that have the massive foam? They give you 2 inches. Could be those. I'm sorry. Now I believe we have Tyvis back. I hope we have a stable line now. Your thoughts on Sayan and what you saw?
So, can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, I hope so. Just don't move.
I'm not moving. That's the sickest part. I'm just sitting in the chair. Anyways, no, when I seen Julian saying last year, I got to hear the ranting and raving. I thought he had a good release and all those things. But when you see it now, I think they did a really good job of displaying the arm talent. I think they wanted to see both quarterbacks in action and make passes down the field. I know that that's the case because the D-line, I was on the defensive side, and they were very frustrated that they couldn't get to the quarterbacks. Anyways, I thought when you looked at Julian saying, to me, that quick release was there. His decision-making was perfect. The pass he threw, to Max Clare and on the over routes that he was hitting, it was all perfect. Like, the ball was out in a good amount of time. As soon as the guy was open, I was talking to Pantone about it, and he was like, yeah, it's exactly everything that you hear about him is the truth. Obviously, consistency is going to be the big thing with any one of these quarterbacks. You talk to everybody, and they say Lincoln actually had the better spring. But when you see them both out there, not saying that Lincoln had a bad game because he was great as well. But when I walked away from that game and I seen the arm talent of Julian Sang, I said he just has that it factor. You know it when you see it. When you see him throw that ball and it comes out his hand really fast, I already knew that he was going to be a great player.
All right, so what do you think is next in this path to get to a starting quarterback? Because you're not waiting into this season. You're not playing Akron out of the gates. You're not playing Bowling Green. You're playing Texas. So what do you think in Ryan Day's perfect world? What does the summer need to look like, and then most especially, what does August need to look like?
I think the summer looks like them just getting a good leadership. I think they want. You talk to Ryan Day, and you ask him what does he want out of his quarterback. He'll talk about that. The most competitive person on the field.
All right, yeah, I think we got to shut it down. Yeah, we got to shut it down. I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, I don't know. He was in one place. We've had him on with his cell at his house a lot.
It sounded like he was like 1.5 times on that last comment there.
One went quicker.
What are we doing here?
What are you even doing here, man? I don't know. That's good, though. We don't need to try again. We'll get him on another time, and we'll get some perspective on the spring game. I was also going to ask him if he's jealous about the size of the rings that they got for the national champ, because they got 3 of them.
You can't wear those on your hand.
I think you can wear one. I think there's one that's as big as like the trophy they give out at the Masters.
Yeah.
There were 2 others that looked like wearable.
I think they have like one for the college football playoff and then one for the Rose Bowl or something.
Yeah, there was 1 or 2 of them looked wearable, and the other one had some sort of button you could push, and then it opened up.
Yeah, it had like confetti that actually dropped from the ceiling of the national championship, like glass enclosed.
Is that what was in there?
That's what was in there. The big one, like the
massive one. Yeah, that was cool. I thought they did a really nice job of kind of weaving all of those things together. I think one thing, and we talked about this briefly off the top, we can talk about it a little bit now, in regard to the attendance, not just at Ohio State spring games, but at spring games around the country. I think that we now see so much of these guys. Some of it here was the branding, right? Spring Showcase, spring game. I think we learned that it'll be the spring game going forward. And Ryan Day wanted a game. He got a game. It was actually awesome. And really one of the more fun spring games to watch with the way that they called it and the way that they designed it. But I also think we live in a world now where we see so much of these guys through social media. They're constantly available. There are so many people who have access to practice now via various NIL givings and booster givings and stuff, that I think it's just one of those things that it used to be so rare to actually get to see Ohio State's team practice for the fans, and now they can see them a lot more. And I think the weather's also was a contributing factor. I mean, we didn't really know until Saturday that it was going to be all right. We've had a brutal spring, so I think that factored into it as well. But I think the bigger picture thing, and this is what separates it even from what would be a relatively low number around here, is just we just see so much of these guys around the country. They're just omnipresent, and I think some of the specialness of it has worn off a little bit of the spring games around the country.
Yeah, I do think to Tyvis's point that you may or may not have been able to hear clearly was that Julian Sang made everybody kind of just do the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where they're pointing and whistling at the television, like, yep, that's the guy. And, it goes to the locker room and knowing, all right, that's the guy. That's who we're going to rally behind. And I'm interested to know, and I don't know if anybody who was interviewed after the spring game, or I know they're all in Washington, D.C. today, but over the next couple of months, if any of them tip their cap or tip their hand at who the locker room thinks is the guy.
Yeah, I think it was important what Austin said when he was on, and Tyvis in the brief appearance. We'll try to get him on tomorrow so we can end with a little better connection. But I think the other thing was that Lincoln had the better spring overall. That the turnover stuff and some of the stuff Julian was doing or things that had happened, it's all very real, and that quarterback competition will go into August. But I do think back a little bit to Dwayne and Joe, and I think for Dwayne, from Urban's perspective, he saw him in Ann Arbor go ball out when they needed him to. And I do think that this ain't that. not pretending that it is. But I do think that it'll be very difficult for Ryan to forget what he saw with 50,000 people or slightly under in all the pressure in the world, and he saw how Sayan responded to that. And Lincoln actually really stabilized. He was really good as it went along. His first series was rough, but then he kind of got into the flow and played really well. I didn't know how that would go, but he did. He was really good from the rest of the way. But Julian came out firing, and I think it'll be hard for Ryan to forget that part of it.
It'll be interesting to, how much they put into the spring game. And obviously, it's the closest you can get to the atmosphere and all of that. But they both played pretty well, and we talked about the differences. I just wonder how much they will put into that, or how much it'll go into all of the spring. And also, kind of like Teresa's point, who's the guy in the locker room? Who do the guys gravitate the most? Who do they feel the best with? Maybe it's very similar and it's all the same, but there's so many factors. I really think that they're probably going to take this into camp for a week or two. Will. And it's legit. It's not like in the past, like when we were all pretty sure Kyle McCord was ahead of Devin Brown, and Will
I think it's closer to that one, Bud. I think it's closer to that one than it is CJ. Like, CJ wasn't really competing with anybody.
Yeah, that wasn't a competition at all. And
Justin Fields wasn't competing with anybody. But I do think that this is probably more similar to McCord Brown, more similar to – that's probably the closest one we have.
Yeah, but
that one.
And I think it's even closer than that one was.
I don't know about that. I think that one was close. And I think at the very end, if Devin could have put together some scrimmages towards the end in August, I think he could have. And remember, they revisited that one in the season. They revisited that, like, are we sure we're playing the right guy here? So that's part of it. I think you got to remember, Sayan was the leader through last spring. He was the leader through the season. Lincoln won spring football this year. Julian won the spring game. And so their timetable, I think, that's the only thing changes you open with Texas. So your timetable has to be sped up a little bit in terms of getting them a ton of reps, whoever's going to win that job. And I think if you all you needed to know how important this spring game was Ryan had him throw it 61 times. That's all. Reese, you mentioned this earlier in the show. It's in the actions. Look at the actions. And the actions tell you he wanted to see them throw in high leverage pressure situations, and he did. They threw it a lot. We hit three things on a Monday. Up next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Tweet from a listener. Are you carrying the Buckeye game today? Considering we've never not carried one, yes. The answer is yes. The Fan.
Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel. Let's go mow.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
Wilson, people are officially going crazy over our sleek, black-framed windows. They change the entire look of a home.
Leslie, nobody believes that just black frames can change the look of a home.
It's like when Superman put on his black-framed glasses and became Clark Kent.
Wait a second. Clark Kent is Superman? Are you messing with me right now?
Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
We've all been there. You come home after a long day only to find water dripping from the ceiling. Your roof has decided it's had enough. And now frustration sets in. Another unexpected problem added to your never-ending to-do list. At Newman Roofing, we get it. That's why we make the process simple and stress-free, handling every detail with professionalism, so you don't have to worry and can get back to the things that matter most to you. So, how do you begin? Step 1. Schedule your free estimate by calling our office at 614-NEW-ROOF or visiting our website, newmanroofing.com. Step 2. Meet with one of our trusted representatives who will guide you through the best plan for your home. Step 3. We get to work, and you watch your roof transform before your very eyes. Whether it's your roof, gutters, or siding, the Newman Roofing team is here to guide and support you every step of the way. Call today at 614-NEW-ROOF to schedule your free estimate and experience the Newman Roofing difference. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Paying rent can feel like throwing money away. And when you're spending so much, it can be hard to see yourself buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is helping you put your monthly rent towards home ownership with Rent Rewards. For the first time, save up to $5,000 off the cost of your first home just by paying rent. Only at Rocket Mortgage. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Most radio stations suck. Here's why. They don't invest in local programming. We are live and local 14 hours a day. You can rest assured that every stupid thing we say is 100% local. Homegrown dumb since day one. The Fan.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, fellas, what do we have on the poll today?
Daily Fan Poll sponsored by Caster Connection, and it asks, which among these four golfers do you think is the most likely to be the next one to complete the career Grand Slam? Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth. 85% of you think it's going to be Scheffler, 8% Jordan Spieth, 6% Koepka, just 1% Phil Mickelson.
Spieth has got 3 of them. So all he's got to do is win the PGA. I mean, you got to win a major, and his form isn't great at the moment, but he has 3 of them. The other guys, Phil has 3, but it's hard to imagine him at this age winning a U.S. Open. He's finished second about 1,000 times. Brooks has the PGA, the U.S., and did he win at Augusta? Is he just
he was second at Augusta a couple years ago to John Rahm. I know that. He just missed out.
Has he won the Open? Scotty has only won Augusta. Scotty's only won Augusta. So even though he's the best player currently and in the best form, all right, Koepka's just won the PGA in the U.S. So Spieth has 3, Mickelson has 3 different ones. Spieth is waiting on the PGA. He's won the U.S. Open, he's won the Masters, and he's won the Open Championship. So he's the one that all he's got to do is win the PGA.
I would think, though, it would be...
He's only 31.
I would think it would be Scheffler or Koepka where I would go, because, Spieth has been pretty bad for a while here.
Yeah, it's just one tournament versus 3 more for Scotty that he's got to win. He's going to be in the mix a lot. Where do we end up on ours? How was our guess, Reese?
So you had asked earlier whose side are the listeners on, Tennessee or Nico Iamaleava's. We got about 330 votes on this thing at 971 BFS. 89% of those 330 say Tennessee football is the side they are taking over Nico Iamaleava's.
I thought that would be the case. So, yeah, we thought 85 or whatever you said, Reese, so we're pretty much on that. All right, time for 3 things on a Monday.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Buckeye Lake Marina, Central Ohio's largest selection of new and pre-owned boats. Find your next dream boat at BuckeyeLakeMarina.com.
All right, number one for me, I see the Buckeyes in D.C. in advance of their meeting with the president today, where they'll be honored as national champions. And it's a reminder. I see them at the Lincoln Memorial. I see them outside of the Washington Monument. I just tell you this. If you have not been to D.C., just forget whatever your politics be damned. It is a humbling place to be. When you stand in the Lincoln Monument at the feet of that statue of Abraham Lincoln, and I would really recommend doing it at night. It's incredibly moving at night. It's awesome. The last time I went, I ended up reading like 4 books on 1776 and everything around it. It's just a really cool place, and I'm thrilled that they're getting a chance to experience it.
I was seeing something over the weekend of UNC spring practice. Mm-hmm. And you see Bill Belichick out there, and then you see his 24-year-old girlfriend on the field as Tar Heels players are warming up and going through drills. And it's just, I think back to what Paul Feinbaum said a couple weeks ago on this program, that he's hearing from people in Chapel Hill that Bill doesn't really get college football. And this visual is more of that.
Do we know who she is?
Not really.
Like, what's her background? Like, how did she... I understand, like, the physical stuff, that I get. But I mean, like, what allowed her to... She's 25, and she's... the way she's walking... The video of her walking around the practice like she owns it.
Yep.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty amazing for sure. My first thing, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I had such a great time the other day at Nationwide Arena hosting that event with the Pro Football Hall of Fame before the Jackets games. It was cool, a little afternoon hockey, getting to sit and talk with Anthony Munoz and his wife for about a half hour before the event started. And then, like I said, Dick Vermeil at 88 years old, just still sharp as a tack, remembering all those stories from yesteryear. Munoz couldn't have been nicer. It was a really cool time and kind of humbling sitting up there seeing these two guys with gold jackets and realizing I was the one that didn't belong there. It was kind of a humbling experience, but very cool.
Number 2 for me, the Masters is the perfect event. Even all of the details are right. They conform to nothing. They do it exactly as they want to do it. They answer to no one. But my favorite thing was all of the images you've seen of Rory's putt or a miss or whatever. It's not what you see, it's what you don't see. And that is not a single cell phone in a hand. All eyes watching what is happening in front of them. At Augusta, you see they take your phones when you walk in. So you actually get to just watch the event. I wish more things in sport would do that, and we would just acquiesce to it, because I think we'd all be better for it.
An honorable mention for Bud Kilmer Honorary Coach of the Week goes to crew boss Wilfried Nancy. They beat St. Louis the other night and are 5-0-3 on the season. Mm-hmm. Have yet to lose an MLS match. And I think this goes back to a lot of the argument last season where the crew were trying to win everything. And it's like, well, maybe just focus on trying to win MLS Cup again. And this seems to be more of that as they sit at the top of the Eastern Conference. And they've got a huge match coming up Saturday against Inter Miami. And that'd be so cool if you could have that match played in front of your home fans. Well, I guess they kind of are, but it's in Cleveland.
Yeah, they're playing in the stadium up there. Is Messi playing?
No word on that yet. No official word.
My second thing, so I'm going into my 3rd season here with my current grill, and I never switched my grill cover from my older grill, which was a little bigger. So sometimes if it's real windy, my grill cover will get blown off, and that's not great because I leave it out all the time in the Ohio weather. So my grill grates were looking a little rough. So I decided to get some new grill grates. And I got them off of Amazon. They came. I went to put them in, and they're not the right size, even though it said it would. And I was a little frustrated. And I was like, I'm going to send these back. And then I was like, you know what? It's going to be a lot easier if I just get the old grinder out and grind the edge of this one off. And it'll sit in perfectly. So we're going to do that instead of sending them back to Amazon.
Good job out of you, Bake. Man's man decision there. Number 3 for me, I got to tip my hat to 11-year-old Beamsy. So this weekend he did the double. He did the AAU basketball and the the lacrosse. So he ended up playing, all told, 6 basketball games and a lacrosse game. He played 2 basketball games and a lacrosse game in a 4-hour period on Sunday alone. I looked at him after we were done, and I'm like, buddy, I get you anything you want. What do you want for lunch? He goes, Dad, I'd love some Taco Bell. So we went and ate Taco Bell. And it's the first time I've had Taco Bell in a decade. Went okay. We survived.
My final thing is a question. What was your order?
Doritos Locos Tacos. It sucked down a couple of those. That was my order, was 2 of those. He had a couple of those. He had the fries with the nacho cheese. He really sucked those down, liked those a lot. And then he got the Baja Blast. So he went as Taco Bell as you can go.
Damn you, Reeser, for just stealing my quick third thing. Rothman and Ice, they're coming up next. They will party like a Roth star. You know AR is going to talk about the Masters a lot.
Oh, yeah. He just posted this, an incredible, in the COVID Memorial year, he was one of the guys in the ropes, so he was like watching Tiger and Rory by himself. I mean, it's crazy stuff, so that'll be fun to listen to. We are back tomorrow for more. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The 2 most mature people working at the radio station. And that's just because they wear pants.
The pervert and the skivvies.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan.
It's a different world today than it was 30 years ago when I started Care Heating and Cooling. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, 30 years ago, you were the first to warn of companies using service technicians as salespeople, of abusing the trust that a service technician has. With the big conglomerates now buying companies all over Central Ohio, this has become the normal business model.
It's all about greed. The conglomerates know they can make a lot more money by incentivizing their technicians to sell furnaces instead of fixing them. They train their techs to take advantage of a customer when they are the most vulnerable.
Dad, that is not how we were taught. In 2024, Care Heating and Cooling was awarded a BBB Torch Award for ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Congratulations, you're having a little girl.
At that moment, everything changed. Our hopes and dreams for ourselves were instantly replaced by our hopes and dreams for her. We got life insurance policies from Shelter Insurance, so that regardless of what life throws at us, we'll still be able to provide the world to her.
Visit shelterinsurance.com to find an agent to help you pick a policy that's right for you. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Hey friends, Beamer here, 70 pounds down. Let that sink in. I'm officially 70 pounds down, all thanks to Awaken 180, and have transitioned smoothly into maintenance mode. This isn't just weight loss, this is life-changing stuff. I've dropped over 13% body fat, my visceral fat points are down by 8, and honestly, I feel like a completely new man. The coolest part, Awaken 180 just doesn't say congrats and then wave goodbye. They prepare you for maintenance, so now I get to reintroduce to myself foods that I love. Pizza, ice cream, very excited about all of that. My mindset's completely different though now. Do I crave junk food? Honestly, no. Can I eat those things now? Sure. Will I? Absolutely. But the difference is I no longer feel like I need them all the time. And Awaken 180's free support for life means that this weight's staying off. My body's now working for me instead of against me. I'm finally at my healthy baseline weight. I feel awesome. Change your mindset, change your life. Awaken 180 made it happen for me. And if it can happen for me, it can 100% happen for you. Check them out online at awaken180weightloss.com. awaken180weightloss.com.
I can't sleep.
What is it now?
It's the company. It's chaos.
What's chaos now?
The numbers, the expenses, the books. What if we get audited?
No one's going to audit you at 3 a.m. Go to sleep.
I can't sleep.
You could if you used Ramp.
Who said that?
I don't care because they're right. Go to sleep and sign up for Ramp in the morning, Jerry.
Ramp is the corporate card that handles all your tedious financial operations automatically, integrates directly with your ERP, and gives you complete control over every transaction. Ramp gives you everything you need for bulletproof books and a better night's sleep.
Wow, that is exactly what my company needs.
Yes, and exactly what I also need. Go to sleep, Jerry.
Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
When you buy from Pella, you could meet Brad, Bob, maybe Mike, or 54 others that make our local Pella team so awesome.
And if you buy from me, you'll get to meet me.
Just a one-man operation, Wilson?
I've got a bunch of cousins helping me, but based on their work, I'm not sure they've got thumbs.
Get the window that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
The sports calendar is heating up, and with ESPN Bet Sportsbook, you can go from checking news and stats to placing bets in just a couple of taps. Stream games, bet live, and get exclusive offers when you link your ESPN account. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code JOEQ to get started today. That's JOEQ, JOEQ. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Transforming your land with a John Deere compact tractor is as easy as connect, latch, load, haul, spread. Cutting grass is as simple as roll, click, mow. Box blading is as effortless as hook, lock, grade. And backhoeing is as convenient as turn around, switch, dig. Because when you've got the versatility to tackle just about any job and dealer support in your own backyard, you just have to get in the seat. Find the right compact tractor for you at John Deere.